Talk about one team. Barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. Steve Sparky Fifer with you out here at Left Silica Town in Tosa. Come on out, hang out with us today. We, of course, are out here thanks to our fine folks over at Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Come on out, try one of those. Only 100 calories. You will love your Sun Cruiser like you love our radio station. And you just heard brand new lineup starting on Monday here on The Fan. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht will be doing mornings inside Wisconsin Sports from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Then it's 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. They'll take you inside everything in the world of sports every day from 9 till noon here on The Fan. Noon to 2, Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, brought to you by Verizon. And then, of course, this show, Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Fifer, from 2 to 5 each and every day. So brand new lineup starting on Monday here on The Fan. So definitely want to make sure to check that out as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up today, Tim Dillard, Milwaukee Brewers analyst with FanDuel Sports Network. He joins us each and every Thursday at 3:20 like he has all season long. So looking forward to talking to Tim Dillard. We'll hear a little bit from Matt LaFleur from earlier today. Pat Murphy, as you heard maybe earlier today, joined middays with Thunder. We'll play back some clips from that show coming up at 4:20. So lots of fun stuff coming up on today's show. Pete Doherty had a mailbag today on the Journal Sentinel. And there was a lot of great questions asked and answered and so forth. And one of the questions asked to Pete Doherty was this. With a new contract given to Christian Watson, does that mean Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed won't be offered new contracts? My question to you is this. Which player on this Packers roster, meaning any position, because there's rumors that Quay Walker's going to get paid, which player on this Packers roster needs to get paid next? Who would you pay next if you are Brian Gutekunst, knowing you shelled out all this money, obviously for Micah Parsons, you shelled out all this money for Jordan Love. Who gets paid next? Rasheed Walker's a free agent at the end of this year, right? Is he the next guy that you would pay? Because it doesn't appear the Green Bay Packers are going to pay Rasheed Walker. It appears Rasheed Walker's last year in Green Bay is this year, and then Jordan Morgan goes to left tackle. What say you, Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can also tweet us, Facebook us at The Fan Milwaukee. Watch us on YouTube, live streaming all of our local shows. Simply search The Fan Milwaukee, and you can watch there. Also, don't forget, we have the Dugout chat going on over there on YouTube as well. You can get involved there too. Okay, so let's have a conversation, shall we, about this roster and where we currently sit as far as who needs to get paid next. I'm going to throw out a name that may throw some of you for a little bit of a loop when we talk about the Green Bay Packers. Now, the name I have is a guy that at the end of last year decided he didn't want to play special teams anymore. He wanted to be the number one cornerback at the end of the day. That's what he had decided. Okay, fine. So now we come into the season, and that guy, Keyshawn Nixon, is doing just that. 5 pass breakups in his last game. Keyshawn Nixon's cap hit right now is $6.8 million. He's age 28. Keyshawn Nixon in 2026 will have a 7.1 cap hit. Mind you, a dead cap number of only $2 million, $2.1 million. That is a free agent in 2027. So if you were to pay him and extend him, you could. Those cap hit numbers aren't end of the world stuff, but if they're looking to free up money and to lower some cap space, because they're going to need cap space next year, there's no question. They're in good shape in 27, but right now, the way 26 lines up, things are going to be tight for the Green Bay Packers. So if they're looking to free up, $3-4 million here, $3-4 million there, maybe they consider extending a Keyshawn Nixon. The only issue with this is Keyshawn Nixon in his free agent year is going to be age 30. we know that Brian Gutekunst is not a fan of age 30 or 31 or 32 or 33. Keyshawn Nixon doesn't like those people. In Keyshawn Nixon's world, he is in a position now to get paid like a top-level cornerback. Now you start talking to yourself, okay, what type of cornerbacks are we getting paid here, and how much money are they getting paid? Now, he is not going to be the top cornerback in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. But let's say he's somewhere kind of in that top 15 or so, somewhere in that area, like a DJ Reed, let's say. DJ Reed just signed a deal for $48 million with the Lions, $16 million on average, 35 of that 48 or 32 of that $48 million guaranteed. And again, age 29 at this point right now. You're not going to find anybody on this list outside of Jalen Ramsey who is older than 29 years old. Everybody else on this list is young outside of Ramsey. Now, Ramsey's deal is huge. It's the fourth biggest deal at cornerback in the National Football League. Keyshawn Nixon at age 30 is not going to get that number. But if Keyshawn Nixon gets somewhere in the middle to the bottom tier, like as we scroll down here at some of these names that we're looking at here, I think DJ Reed may be the closest. But let's go to Chicago. Kyler Gordon is a guy that is age 26. He's averaging $13.3 million on a $40 million deal with $31 million guaranteed. Kyler Gordon, Keyshawn Nixon, is that something that makes sense to you, Charlie Usen? Are they comparable if Keyshawn Nixon continues to play the way he is? Or would you say Kyler Gordon is still pretty significantly in front of Keyshawn Nixon?
I don't know. Based off of the first two games of the season I've seen from the Chicago Bears, Kyler Gordon hasn't really proven that he's at Keyshawn Nixon's level at this point. I think Keyshawn Nixon seems to be playing really well in Jeff Hafley's system, and he played well there last year and is playing well there this year. I think this is something that you can start seeing consistently from a guy like Keyshawn Nixon. Kyler Gordon in a brand new system with the Chicago Bears with Matt Eberflus out the door and Ben Johnson, a more offensive-minded coach. So now you have a defense that's a little bit more free form with the defensive coordinator. Doesn't seem like he's working as well with that. So right now I would say I'd take Keyshawn Nixon in Jeff Hafley's defense versus Kyler Gordon in the Bears defense.
That's pretty crazy. Because when we start talking about Keyshawn Nixon, again, if we're talking Tyler Gordon, that's $13.5 million per year to pay him. The difference is he's significantly younger than Keyshawn Nixon, who's going to be age 30 in his free agent year. We're asking you, who should get paid next for the Green Bay Packers? Pete Doherty was simply asked, are they not going to be able to pay Jaden Reed? Are they not going to be able to pay Romeo Doubs because they paid Christian Watson? We took that, expanded it to ask you, who would you pay next? So Keyshawn Nixon, to me, does not line up to be a guy that I think Brian Gutekunst is going to pay because, again, he's going to hit free agency at 30 at that point. I think he walks away and says, no, thank you. I'm not paying a 30-year-old, $13 to $15 million a year at this point to play corner, especially if he feels like he can continue to draft corners and they'll work regardless of what he has. They're going to work in Hafley's system because of the pass rush, because you have Micah Parsons, and because you have Edgerrin Cooper.
I think that's exactly how it is. I think right now the Packers are in a really good spot with what they have on their defense because you have such a mix of players like Keyshawn Nixon, who is a veteran-style player, a guy like Xavier McKinney, who, based on what we saw last season and the first couple games of this season, he's getting a little underpaid. You have veteran players who are taking pay cuts, who are fitting better in this system than I think they would in other systems across the NFL. And then you have players like Edge Cooper. You have players like Micah Parsons, who you now have under contract for a long period of time. You have players like Devontae Wyatt taking that next step, who are also starting to mold into that system. I mean, if I was any other team in the league, I'd be looking at Jeff Hafley right now as a potential head coach candidate moving forward here, like we've heard multiple times up to this point, because of the way just he's been able to mold both these veterans and these young players. And if you're talking about the next big payday, I don't know if there is one specific name on this defense outside of Edge Cooper that deserves that big payday for this Green Bay Packers team. And I don't think it's going to be a ridiculous overpay for a player of his caliber so far.
That's the thing too, right? When we talk about who gets paid next, I think Edgerrin Cooper is the obvious choice, I think, right now to get paid next. I don't think they're going to pay these wide receivers. I could be wrong, could be completely wrong, But I think Brian Gutekunst feels like he does a really good job at drafting wide receivers. I feel like he looks at the situation and says, you know what? Not only do I do a pretty good job of drafting talent, Matt LaFleur does a great job of scheming this thing up and putting them in a really good position to be effective. So from that perspective, I don't think they're going to pay anybody at wide receiver unless somebody separates himself. But that may not be for 2 or 3 years until you get to Matthew Golden.
Probably not. But even with Matthew Golden at this point, it doesn't seem like it's a priority to get him to separate himself, even as the first round rookie wide receiver that has a lot of expectations attached to him. So, yeah, you can say in 2 to 3 years, maybe he will take that big jump. But by 2 to 3 years from now, when it gets close to his rookie year expiring, his contract's going to be a lot cheaper because you're not pushing him into that star role right away. I think that's a really big key for this Green Bay Packers organization. I think it's part of the reason you're able to get Jordan Love at the contract you have him at now, which is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. But in about 3 years, it is not going to be. And his price then is going to be a little bit cheaper than it was now because he's going to hopefully kind of have hit his prime at that point. You know what he's going to be. With a guy like Matthew Golden, you're kind of in the same position, which I think is a really good spot for this Green Bay Packers organization to be in.
The other guy that I think we could talk about getting paid on the offensive side of the football, there's one obvious guy on the offensive side of the football that was not asked about. And that's the thing, is the tight end position and Tucker Kraft, right? Isn't he the most obvious guy to get paid? He is this year of a cap number of 1.5. No big deal. Next year, in its age 26 year, it's 1.762. So if you want to talk about who gets extended next, to me, the obvious answer here is Tucker Kraft, Tommy, or Charlie.
I think Tucker Kraft easily is the next offensive player to, I guess, even consider a contract extension. But at the same time, because his cap hit is so low as we speak, I think if he has this type of production moving forward here and it jumps up kind of an astronomical amount in today's landscape of the NFL, you don't pay tight ends that much money, especially that much of a price hike. And I think that could come into play here. So if he's willing to stay in Green Bay and wants to play with Jordan Love, they're at this point where they have won a Super Bowl or are looking to be a Super Bowl contender within that next season. Yeah, he may want to stick around, but also I don't see it financially reasonable with the amount of money you're paying Jordan Love, with the amount of money you may potentially need to pay a wide receiver or 2 wide receivers at some point, the amount of money you're paying Zach Tom now and Micah Parsons to also pay a tight end when it seems like other NFL teams can find a player that fills that role enough.
Let's have a conversation about tight end salaries right now in the NFL. George Kittle is age 32. He's averaging $19.1 million. Trey McBride, I think, is overpaid. With the Cardinals, he's averaging $19 million. Kelsey with the Chiefs at age 36 is averaging 17. TJ Hawkinson with the Vikings, who has nobody to throw to him, has $16.5 million on average. Mark Andrews, who I think who has 2 catches through 2 weeks with the Ravens, is averaging $14 million. Njoku, who they're going to see this week with the Browns, 13.6. Cole Kmet, 12.5. Jake Ferguson, the former Badger with the Cowboys, 12.5. I mean, if I'm being honest here, if I look at this list, he's going to make somewhere around Trey McBride, right? $17 to $19 million. If what we're talking about is true, Tucker Kraft is only going to be age 27 when he hits free agency.
Arizona isn't paying anybody but Kyler Murray right now. I mean, yeah, they can pay a tight end.
Well, that doesn't matter to Tucker. That doesn't matter to Tucker Kraft's lawyer. Tucker Kraft is just looking. Tucker Kraft's lawyer is looking at it and going, okay, where does he fit into all these tight ends that are out there, and what should he get paid?
I know it doesn't matter to Tucker Kraft, but it matters to the Packers. Is my point. And when they're looking at signing a player like Tucker Kraft, again, if you could get Luke Musgrave at that same year, at that same kind of realm of tight end, if you hope that he plays that second tight end role with this Packers play action offense well right now, and you can get him at maybe $10 million, you're going to take that 9 times out of 10 over at Tucker Kraft.
I don't know if I'm comfortable letting Tucker Kraft walk. I know that's crazy, but I'm more comfortable letting Keyshawn Nixon walk. I'm scared about this Jordan Morgan, Rasheed Walker thing, but I guess if I was given the alternative of, okay, you can have Jordan Morgan start and hope we're right at left tackle and pay Tucker Kraft instead, I think I would. I don't think I want to allow Tucker Kraft to get away. In my mind and my warped brain that I have, Charlie, I see Tucker Kraft and Jordan Love being together for a decade or longer, kind of like how Kelsey and Mahomes have been. If I'm Gutekunst, I want those two together, and then we'll work around those two with what the rest of the offense looks like. I mean, if you look at Kansas City's wide receiving core, they're not as good as Green Bay's. I mean, Green Bay ain't paying anybody at this point outside of the guy that's not playing, and Christian Watson. I mean, Patrick Mahomes missing wide open guys the last couple of weeks, trying to get on the same page, trying to find that chemistry. And mark my words, at the end of the year, they're going to be in the playoffs. You're going to make a run for the Super Bowl. They're going to have every opportunity to get this done. And the Green Bay Packers, I feel like, can have that same type of style where as long as we have the quarterback and the tight end, we can find and replace everybody else on offense, providing our offensive line obviously is solidified.
I think if you feel that way, though, you have to feel that Tucker Kraft is one of the best tight ends, not only in the NFL right now, but like Travis Kelce, like a Rob Gronkowski, when the Patriots went through that same kind of rotation, has to be one of the greatest tight ends of all time. And I don't know if right now, as much as I love Tucker Kraft and what he's done through the first 2 weeks of the season here, I can reasonably say that he's one of the greatest tight ends of all time and that you can lock him into that. If he's not that, history says it's not worth re-signing him to that much money.
I guess you and I will just agree to disagree on this, Charlie Usen, because I am not willing to move off of my standpoint because I think Tucker Kraft can be a perennial Pro Bowl player. I think Tucker Kraft could very well be an all-pro tight end in this league as well. And with that, obviously, he's going to have to come with paying him some money. And the great thing about the salary cap that we've learned is you can kick the can down the road quite a long time before you have to pay up to everything you've been doing to get to that point, right? The Green Bay Packers kicked the can down the road for how many years with Rodgers and Bakhtiari and everybody else trying to extend Rodgers' career, trying to get Rodgers back to another Super Bowl. And then the year that the Packers were supposed to pay the piper, what happened? All these young dudes showed up. Jordan Love's first year, they get on a roll in the second half, and they don't go into salary cap hell like everybody thought they were going to go into, like the New Orleans Saints have been into for years. Instead, they come out on the other end quickly into the playoffs, and they win a game and never go down in that lull. If there is anybody I trust to navigate the salary cap and get the Packers through this by signing whoever they need to sign, it's Russ Ball at this point. Don't you think Russ Ball has earned that respect at this point to being a guy that knows how to get this done the correct way without screwing them up forever?
I think so. And I think that's reasonable to have faith in really anybody that's running this Packers organization to this point. It's just an organization that has had perennial success ever since I was born. And I know before that there were some rough periods, but before that they were one of the greatest organizations in all of sports history. And Russ Ball has done that justice since he's come and helped run this organization to the success that we see every single year. Again, that's a guy I'd love to have running the Chicago Bears. That would be really nice to have somebody like that in-house there, again, to help instill this kind of mentality that Green Bay is known for.
Coming up next, we're going to switch gears and go from the Packers to the Brewers. Then we'll get back to Matt LaFleur coming up at 2:40. Plus, Tim Dillard still scheduled to join us, FanDuel Sports Network Wisconsin. He joins us each and every Thursday at 3:20. So looking forward to talking to him. But we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. And I realized something. After these last two kind of games we've seen from Brandon Woodruff and that we've seen from Freddie Peralta, and knowing that, according to Andrew Wagner, Mizorowski might not be on this roster at this point, and even if he was on the divisional roster, it wouldn't matter. So the way the playoffs work, in case you aren't unaware, which as a Brewers fan, you should have this down pat. Maybe you only have the first round down pat because the Brewers can never seem to get out of the first round, but the first round, the wild card round, is 3 games, right? Best of 3. The second round is a best of 5. The third round is a best of 7 for the Milwaukee Brewers. So that's how this works. So that first round, if there is no Mizorowski on that playoff roster, doesn't mean necessarily that he won't be able and ready to go when they need 4 starters when they get to the NLCS at that point. Maybe against Philly, maybe it's the Dodgers. Have to wait and see who that's going to be. Having said all of that, you start talking about a game 5 situation where it's, okay, got to win this game to get to the NLCS. Or a game 7 situation where, okay, got to win this game to get to the World Series. A game 7 situation where win this and we win the World Series. When you're in that situation, Who do you want on the hill for the Brewers? That's my question. Because Freddie Peralta's third in Cy Young voting. I'm just curious. Like, who do you want? Maybe we can make it a poll question, Charlie. What do you think about making this a poll question? Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, Quentin Priester, or other, I think.
Right,
do you like
throw
those?
It up there. I like it.
Yeah, right? In a must-win situation in the playoffs, you have to have the game to advance to the next round, whatever game that ends up being. It won't be game 3 because we're not going to be in the wild card round. The Brewers won't be. Who would you want on the hill? We'll discuss that coming up next. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can also tweet at us and find us on Facebook at The Fan Milwaukee. And how about YouTube? Search us The Fan Milwaukee. We got our videos, got our shorts, live streaming all of our local shows here on The Fan as well. Don't forget, out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa. Come on out, hang with us. Thanks to Sun Cruiser. Vodka iced tea, just 100 calories, no bubbles. Come take advantage of it today, and you will feel so good. And then you can get on the Brewer shuttle, right? Going to and from Brewers games and really have a fun day as the Brewers and Angels get set for action again tonight. And the Brewers put up 9 in game 1. Brewers put up 9 in game 2. I don't want to get ahead of myself and think they're put up at 9 in game 3, but you're feeling good about this offense against this Angels pitching staff so far. So we'll see where that goes. And then 5 to 6:30, the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, with Tommy Wirtz will be broadcasting out here from Left's Lucky Town as well. See Sparky Fifer here, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. See Sparky Fifer, Charlie Usen. Can we talk about Charlie Usen for a second? I mean, we're out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa. Everybody and their mama knows where this is. Come on out, hang with us like you always do right over here by Hart Park. Got shuttles to and from the games, including coming up tonight, Brewers and Angels, game 3 of that series out here thanks to Sun Cruiser, Vodka Iced Tea. Come hang with us. We got all kinds of stuff. Got Sun Cruiser koozies, got hats, got stress balls, pop sockets, And that's everything that I see out here. I'm not sure what else we may have in the back that we didn't put out. We got some fan T-shirts as well. It looks like relief pitcher fan T-shirts, which are very cool. People seem to like those. So come hang out with us out here to 5, and then 5 to 6:30, the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook with Tommy Wirtz. Of course, have Drew Wagner on from American Family Field. Looking forward to hearing from him. Plus, we'll check in with Pat Murphy before today's game. Austin Herdania from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He'll be on to give us parlay of the day. Speaking of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, I'll be out there coming up on Monday night for Monday Night Football. I'll be out there from 6, probably through the first half. We'll be doing trivia throughout from 6 o'clock all the way through the first half of the game. Have autographed merchandise to give away, jerseys to give away, all kinds of cool fan gear to give away as well. So come hang out with us at the Potawatomi Sportsbook for Monday Night Football. Again, starting at 6 o'clock. So I'll do my show to 5, and then I'll be down there starting at 6. Come hang out Monday night at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Should be a lot of fun. Charlie.
Yes. What's up?
Dude, what happened to your face?
I don't know. I feel like the beer was
I
getting
see
a little
your
long.
cheeks. Like, I didn't even know you had dimples. I think you do have dimples. Look at that. You have
Thanks.
dimples. I had no idea. This entire time I've worked with this man since last March. I've never actually seen his face.
I have shaved at least twice because I've shaved because I dressed up as Nacho Libre for Halloween last year.
You were growing it all out for Nacho Libre, right?
Exactly. So I shaved it down for that. So you've seen
That's
them
true.
before. And
I like it.
It was getting a little long. Andrew Wagner keeps bullying me. He said I always had garbage on my face and stuff, which is a little rude, but you know what? Whatever. I let it go for a little bit, and then it got to my feelings. It got to my head a little bit. So, I had to get rid of it.
Andrew Wagner responsible for Charlie shaving off his beard. Yeah, you're blaming Andrew Wagner. He can be a bully at times.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. He can be.
He's just such a curmudgeon. Just because he's sad and lonely doesn't mean everybody else has to be sad and lonely, Drew. All right?
He is a curmudgeon. But that's all right, though. We love him all the same. Okay, so let's have this question and this poll question that we just put up. You're in an elimination game in a playoff series, right? So wild card game 3, game 5 in the division, game 7 in the LCS, or game 7 in the World Series. What Brewers pitcher do you want in the bump in that moment, right? Where, I'll tell you what, that dude's on the mound. If that dude's on the mound, I'm running down to Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm putting, some significant cash on the Brewers to win that bad boy. If that guy's pitching for us, I don't care who he's facing. I have all the trust in the world that guy is going to finish it. That's what I'd like to know. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Plus, you can also tweet us or Facebook us as well by simply going to The Fan Milwaukee on social media or by looking us up on YouTube. You'll see Charlie and myself. It's Charlie's newly shaved face as well. Get the Funk Outdoors. Just ask Sparky, who's the new guy on your show? No, it's Charlie. It's the same guy. He just shaved, man. You got people in YouTube confused as to who you are now. They have no idea. They thought we hired another new guy.
They've only seen me with a beard. So, yeah, I would say that's a little jarring for them, maybe.
It is quite jarring. Yeah. So, no, that is Charlie Usen. If you're watching on YouTube, that has not changed. We have not replaced our producer on Wisconsin Sports Daily. We have hired a bunch of people, obviously, but Charlie stays with me wherever I go. So that's the deal there. So who would be that starter? The poll question that Charlie is putting up is simple, right? It's Woodruff, it's Peralta, it's Priester, or other. And then you can obviously comment on Twitter or Facebook, whoever you think other is. Peralta, like I said, 17 wins on the year. Unbelievable year. Third right now, it looks like in Cy Young voting polls. That's all they are, voting polls. We won't know the actual votes till the season is over. So maybe he's a top 3 Cy Young candidate at this point. That's something else to consider. And then there's Brandon Woodruff, who, nobody really knew what to expect from Brandon Woodruff when this whole thing started, coming off of major injury, hasn't pitched like in a year and a half, 2 years, didn't know what to expect, didn't know if he'd be able to stay healthy for the entire time or how that whole thing would work. But he has pitched really well. And he pitched really well again last night for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I understand, and we heard Pat Murphy earlier today on Middays with Thunder. We'll play some of that back coming up at 4:20 today, talking about, somebody said to him this morning, the Angels, we know they're bad. But as he pointed out, and he's absolutely correct, that sure, they may not be the best in the world, but in Major League Baseball, when you play 162 games, literally bad teams are going to be good teams. It happens all the time. The best teams in baseball are going to lose to bad baseball teams. You're not sweeping every bad team in baseball. Brandon Woodruff last night, 5 innings, couple of hits, 1 run. That was a home run, 9 strikeouts. And that comes off of Freddie Peralta having a masterclass just the previous game as well. So who do you trust in that elimination game right now of what we have currently for this Milwaukee Brewers team as we look at it? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Again, on social media as well, at The Fan Milwaukee. I'm going to say Brandon Woodruff. I know this may be unpopular because of how well Freddie Peralta has pitched and so forth, but I'd say Brandon Woodruff would be the guy that I would trust first and foremost. And then after that, man, I guess I say Freddie Peralta, but if I'm being honest, I feel like I trust Quinn Priester as much as I trust Freddie Peralta at this point, even though Freddie Peralta's numbers are much better than Quinn Priester's. I just feel like Quinn Priester's not giving up the long ball, getting a bunch of ground balls. His defense plays well behind him, getting the double plays when he needs them, and getting out of an inning. How many times has Quinn Priester had guys on base, and all of a sudden, boop, there's the ground ball. And the other team's like, damn, I don't get that ground ball. But realistically, kind of, Quinn Priester has you right where he wants you once he gets a couple guys on base to get out of the inning. So for me, I guess it's Brandon Woodruff. That's who I would go to in that elimination game. That's who I'd run to the Potawatomi Sportsbook to put some money down on the Brewers. If it was an elimination game in a playoff series, I think I trust Woodruff over Peralta or Priester at this point.
I think my brain says Brandon Woodruff. And then my brain would say Quinn Priester and Freddie Peralta in the same order as you. But I think my gut, and I think there's a lot of things in baseball that are done with the gut, especially in elimination games, especially in the playoffs. Baseball is one of the most superstitious sports out there. And I feel like that there's just something about trusting your gut in that game 7 that matters the most. And my gut is saying Jacob Mizorowski goes out there and starts game 7. I don't know how long he starts game 7 for. I don't know if it's 1 inning, 2 innings, you at least just give him the open or something, or if he goes 5. But what we saw when in his initial first 5 games of the season when he came up, I don't think that was a fluke. And I know a lot of people are discounting him based on what we've seen the last month as well compared to that first month. But I think there's something special about him. And I think that is a moment where you unlock what is most special about a player like that. And I think if you are the Brewers, if you are Pat Murphy, who's a guy that I think trusts his gut more than some people give him credit for, would go with a guy like Miz in a game 7.
See, did you say Miz?
I did indeed say Miz. Yep.
No, I can't. No. And I love Miz, and I'm all about Miz in all of that. I'll tell you why I don't like Miz in that situation. I don't like putting Miz out there, just came up this year and all that, and then put all of that on him in an elimination game. Your guy, Tommy Wirtz, my guy, Tommy Wirtz, talks about, maybe you ruin the guy if he has a bad start, if you start him and things go wrong.
Well,
versus
maybe
if you leave him off of the playoff roster.
If he has a great start. Maybe you create one of the greatest pitchers in Brewers history if he has a phenomenal start.
Well, there's a very memorable moment that happened to Rick Ankiel of the Cardinals, who blew up in a postseason for the playoffs at a very young age for the Cardinals, never figured it out, and ended up playing in the outfield because he was a good enough hitter to try and stay in the outfield. And then Rick Ankiel wanted to punch me in the face in the Brewers clubhouse, or in the, where was he at that point? The Cardinals clubhouse? Yeah. Ankiel was pissed. Raised his voice at me. Everybody in the locker room was looking, clubhouse. I raised my voice back. It was fun. Memorable moments with me in the clubhouse. And people wonder why I don't go in there anymore. But anyways, so this is the thing. When we talk about putting Mizorowski out there, you have to take everything into consideration of the moment, how it affects him. You're right, Charlie. If Mizorowski goes out there in an elimination game and throws 6 innings, 1 hit ball, strikes out 10, legend for sure. No question. And away we go, regardless of what round that. Can you imagine if it's game 7 of a World Series and Mizorowski shuts it down and they advance awesome. And they win this thing?
Awesome.
Could you imagine?
I mean, nobody would ever let him pay for his food ever in this city again. We talk about legends. That would be one of those things that I think would cement him immediately.
The good thing is, though, they'll probably never allow him on a playoff roster, so we'll never actually get to see that actually happen at the end of the day.
And see what he says to that. He'll
Tommy and Drew, Tommy and Drew will be happy because he's not on the playoff roster. Doesn't get to have that moment, and instead they'll pitch Quintana out there in the NLCS. Now that is what I don't want to see. Be very clear: do not pitch Mr. Quintana, in an elimination game, in a game 5 or a game 7. I understand he's your 5th starter. I understand he has playoff experience. I understand all of this. I don't trust him in a big moment. In a big moment, in a situation like that, I want dudes that can strike dudes out. Make no question about this. That's what I want. Or I want an unbelievably talented young pitcher like Priester that I know if he gets himself in trouble can get himself out of trouble with a couple of key ground balls. I trust that. Quintana doesn't throw that hard, has a tendency maybe to give up a couple shots. I'm not there. And his numbers aren't bad. Like, I shouldn't be looking at Quintana and being like, oh my God, he's got like a 6 ERA. That's not what it is. His numbers are decent, Charlie. I just haven't trusted him realistically all year.
Yeah, every game he went in there, it never really felt like I was going to get prime Jose Quintana, which I don't think anybody expected. But
he's
also
older.
With the rest of this Brewers rotation, you never really felt uncertain about a game, even if they were to go out there and give up 3 runs right away. And Jose Quintana was the black sheep there. He was the only one where it felt like if he gave up 3 runs in the first inning, the Brewers are going to lose that game. And I think that stands out even more when you are having so much success with other guys. And let's be honest, Jose Quintana did not have a bad season. For a number 5 starter in your rotation, he actually had a pretty damn good season. So I think we have to give him more credit than I think what a lot of people are giving him. At the same time, no, I'm not throwing him out there in any kind of playoff rotation when you have so many other young pitchers that give you so much more promise than what you've seen from Quintana.
He is Charlie Using C Sparky Fifer. Vote in our poll question up right now on Twitter. You just did it on Twitter, correct? That's where it's at?
Yes, sir.
What, Facebook doesn't allow you to do poll questions? Is
Not
that what
as
it
far
is?
as I know.
You know what I want you to do today, Charlie? What? I don't know if you can do it.
Well, we need the password to the fan Facebook, too, at this point.
You're struggling to get into Facebook.
Yeah, we still don't even have that. So that's part
good.
of the
But we're able to post, though.
Yeah,
but we're able to post.
We can post through our
You just can't get in there to reply.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, right. That's good. I didn't realize that, but we will take care of that. He has Charlie Use It, see Sparky Fifer with you. And don't forget, Tommy Wirt's coming out here from 5 until 6:30. Hey, Charlie, you
What's
work
up?
at a bar restaurant?
I do indeed.
They got like a robot thing, like rolling around
we
here,
don't got
like
the fancy robots,
bringing food out and the whole deal. I didn't know they had robots in restaurants.
I've seen those around.
How long has that been going on?
For a while now, at least like 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, I've been seeing them.
I've never seen one. It's the first time I've ever seen one. Comes rolling out here with food on it, the whole deal. They don't even have to hold their own food here.
Well, you're in a new world, Sparky. New age technology, baby.
Man. So this is a thing?
Would you give a robot a hug?
Hell no. No. But I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm okay with a robot bringing me food, because I'm definitely not okay with the no self-serve checkouts and stuff like that at the grocery stores. So isn't this kind of going down the same pathway of that, right? Kind of, sort of.
A little bit. But also,
it's not going to spill food all over me. That I know, right?
I don't like.
So we're good there.
Full of like 18 drinks. You know, I'll make multiple trips. If a robot can help me out a little bit, I'll let him help.
So you like that?
Yeah.
So like if you're managing the bar, I know we'll get back to sports in a second, but explain this. So you can program this thing to come up to the bar, and you're bartending, right?
I am.
So you can put all the drinks on there for a table somewhere else out in the restaurant, and it knows where it's going based on the table number, and away it goes.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. I've never worked with one.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I swear to God, I've never seen anything like that. It just came rolling on through here like short circuit. I mean, that is crazy. Short circuit. See, guy in front of me got the joke. He's seen the movie. Yeah, that's right. Charlie's too young. He has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. My producer. He's like, what are you talking about?
Sparky outside of Hallmark.
This was back in the 90s. I used to watch movies. I don't watch movies anymore. He is Charlie Use It, see Sparky Fifer out here. Left's Lucky Town, brought to you by our fine folks over there at Sun Cruiser. I have one of their Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas. Only 100 calories, mind you. Take advantage of that today. Don't forget shuttles to and from Brewers games here from Left's Lucky Town. They have a beautiful, gorgeous outdoor patio people are taking advantage of. We're sitting in front of a garage door that's open with a nice breeze blowing in. So come on out, hang with us right across from Hart Park in Tosa. Look forward to seeing you out here. Vote in the poll as well. Up next, we'll hear from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, who talked earlier today. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tulsa, right by Hart Park. Come on out, hang out. I'm pretty sure most of the general population, I would assume, in southeastern Wisconsin has probably been here at one point or another in their life, right? I mean, this thing is like one of those staple sports bars, Charlie, where I feel like most people, if they've ever, I mean, some people may have never even been to Tulsa, but I feel like if you've been in Tulsa at all at any point, at some point you have drank or ate here along the way.
I've been there a couple times.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
a big fan of Wes. I like their Irish nachos. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I actually went there for St. Patrick's Day, and the Reuben might have been one of the best Reubens I've ever had.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm a Reuben connoisseur, Sparky.
I'm not. I don't like Reubens. But I'll take your word that it's really good here at Left's Lucky Town. So definitely come on out and hang out for that. And food, drink, shuttles to and from the Brewers game for all home games. And, of course, Brewers Angels tonight. I'll be out here till 5. Got the Sun Cruiser vodka iced tea stuff out here you can get as well. Koozies, hats, all that stuff. Got some relief pitcher fan T-shirts if you're interested in getting one of those. Got the pop sockets for the phones, all of that. Don't forget, too, our brand new lineup. Fan lineup starts on Monday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht will be the new morning show on the Fan coming up on Monday morning. Then 9 to noon, it's going to be John Kuhn making his radio return, the former Packer fullback, on the air here on the Fan from 9 to noon with Rami Makloff, Brandon Snide, the radio veteran producer. He'll be producing the show. So that's 9 to noon with Kuhn coming up on Monday. Then noon to 2 is the Mason Crosby show with with Mitch Thunder Nellis, presented to you by Verizon from noon until 2. And then Charlie and I right back here like always, 2 to 5 with Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. And speaking of Wendy's, if you love Wendy's classic chocolate and vanilla frosty flavors, there's some big news. They're all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. It's the same creamy treat you've always loved. Now they flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, well, we've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie, batter, and caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, and Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's. All new Frosty flavors, a refresh on a classic. Okay, so Matt LaFleur, he talked earlier today, like he does most days. And let's hear what Matt LaFleur had to say in Green Bay as we get ready for the Packers and the Browns.
How did Zach look yesterday?
He's still working through it, so we'll see how he looks today, and giving him up till Sunday.
Everybody plays hurt. It's kind of a part of the business, but for a guy who's played such high quality ball, what do you need to see between now and Sunday to make you feel comfortable?
Well, I think you got to see how he's moving, and then certainly he's got to say so in it as well in terms of does he feel comfortable. So we'll see where it goes.
This is the thing about until he feels comfortable, we'll see where it goes. I don't need to see until he's comfortable or see where it goes. I'd rule him out today. I wouldn't go on with this. And maybe, listen, this happens a lot of times, right? Where the coach calls somebody and says, hey, look, you're starting. Publicly, we're going to tell everybody we're waiting on Zach Tom to figure it out, or we're waiting over here on Aaron Banks to figure it out, or we're waiting on another player, see how he feels on game day. But I'm telling you right now, he ain't playing. You're starting, regardless of what you hear, you're starting. And that way that guy knows. I think, personally, that's how I would be handling this. I'm not going to risk going back out there with any type of potential injury in a game against the Browns. I know their defense is really good. I understand. Tomorrow, Mark Schwab, a sports anchor in Cleveland, he's going to be out for our Eye on the Enemy segment on a Football Friday here on the Fan. I recorded that actually earlier today, and that defense is really good, okay? And it's more than just Myles Garrett. They're just good front to back to front. They had every opportunity to beat Cincinnati and blew it, but that defense is going to provide problems. Even having said that, right, I don't want to risk injury to any of these guys in this game against the Browns in week 3, especially when you're 2-0. Dallas looms on the other side of this, and then it's a bye week, right? Just get to the bye week. Even if you're 3-1 at the bye week, I'll take 3-1, even if you stumble here or against Dallas. I don't think Micah Parsons will allow you to stumble against Dallas, but I think that's where I'm at right now, Charlie, with this. Quit playing the games and just tell everybody, look, he ain't playing. Like, even if he feels better, we're just going to make sure he's good, and we'll play him against Dallas.
Which it doesn't really seem like he feels all that much better. he said that he still had some pain running with that oblique, which is not
Right.
always a great sign. He said it came almost completely off, that there was a tear there. I mean, these are all things that you don't really want to hear with this type of injury. Again, it's one you can play through, but you want to be comfortable playing through it. And it doesn't seem like he's all that comfortable wanting to play through it right now. So, yeah, you give him this game off and you see what Belton can do against a guy like Myles Garrett whenever he does line up against him. I know most of the time he's going to be up against Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, whoever's on that left side of the offensive line. But you should be able to feel comfortable with a guy like Belton, which I think they do. I would prefer if Zach Tom was out there. I think Zach Tom would prefer if he was out there. But if he doesn't feel good enough to go, do not push it beyond that, because that's just not reasonable when you are one of the most important, one of the highest paid players on this team.
Correct. All right, let's move on. What do we have? What more do we have?
Made it clear last week that he is growing a little tired of the snap count and would like to be unleashed. Not having him on the injury report, is that a sign that time might be coming this week?
We'll see.
Obviously, we talked about Myles Garrett, but the rest of the D-line is pretty good, obviously, with Collins and those guys. What have you seen from that group?
A very disruptive unit. They get off the ball, create a lot of carnage from the offensive line perspective. They do a great job, and they play with relentless effort. So I think that's one of the, I guess, they're something that they can hang their hat on, is just how hard they play for 4 quarters.
I think when you talk about any team, and I'll quickly bring up those fools to the south of us in Chicago, because I heard Ben Johnson talking yesterday in his press conference, and he was talking about, that championship mentality and so forth. And somebody asked him about practice and how these guys are doing in practice, and he quickly looked at him and said, no, they're not practicing at a championship level right now. Next question. So not only do you have issues on the field, they're not practicing with the intensity that he wants them to practice with right now at this point. And people always, again, Allen Iverson, right? Practice, right? Not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And I'm sure Charlie can tell you stories about his coaches along the way, high school, college, whatever, getting on them about practice intensity, practice like you play. All of those things always come up. What say you, Charlie?
Well, those types of things come up when you aren't a championship caliber team, I think. I think when you are at the top of your league, or you are proven, have a lot of veterans on your roster, sometimes there are slower practices where the coaching staff understands or doesn't even allow that much contact, wants you to slow down for an entire week of practice, like a game against the Cleveland Browns if you are the league leading Green Bay Packers, which some people feel like you are according to the power rankings. And I think that with this organization, that yes, compare it to the Chicago Bears and say that Ben Johnson is down there talking about how they need to play at that championship level, and they're just not doing that right now, versus a guy like Matt LaFleur, who I think right now doesn't need to look at this Green Bay Packers team and say you are practicing hard enough, because they have that mentality already. He's instilled that mentality. He knows when it comes to game day against a team like the Cleveland Browns, who do not match them, that you can take a few more days of rest during this time of practice.
The other part about this is, and again, you'll hear the Mark Schwab interview coming up tomorrow from Cleveland. When you have a winning organization with a winning culture, and you've done it the same way for so long, you may come from a bad team. You may come from Chicago. You may come from Dallas. Remember, Micah Parsons got here, walks in on a Tuesday, and sees everybody and their mama there. He's like, what is going on? Why is everybody here? This was never the case on Tuesdays in Dallas. There'd be a couple guys hanging out getting, work done or whatever, but not the whole team. And that's how it is in Green Bay, right? Everybody's in, pulling the rope the same way, trying to get to the Super Bowl and win this thing. That's the winning culture. And like that, you practice at that high intensity. You practice the right way. Remember, there were days Matt LaFleur was furious with this team in training camp because they were sloppy. They weren't doing things the right way, and he's on them. That is such a big deal, not only in training camp, but as well as during the regular season. And just, I don't know, if you're not proud of this Packers team, if you're not proud of this Packers organization, and I know they haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time, it's been over a decade, I get it, but trust me when I tell you, this is one of the top organizations in professional sports right now with the way they do things. And you can also say the Brewers, even though they don't have a championship, are one of the top organizations in professional sports. When you start talking about sustained success for 10 to 15 years, both, well, Packers been doing it for 30. For the most part, when you're talking about guys that do it like that, that's what both of these organizations have been, Charlie. Packers and Brewers, and the Bucks as of recently. It's a little bit different because they're not really developing guys. So they're doing it differently. But the Packers have to draft and develop. The Brewers have to draft and develop, and they've done it consistently well. Player evaluation is a big, big part. And a lot of times when you have a losing organization, it's because you don't have good player evaluators.
Well, and for the Bucks to get to this point, they did have to develop players. Giannis Antetokounmpo had to be developed. Chris Middleton
Years
had to
ago,
be
yes.
developed. Yeah, I mean, to get to that level of sustained success. So, yeah, they're not doing it right now. But I don't think the Brewers and Packers, again, at the point they are right now in whatever kind of rebuild they're in, they're not at that level of experience that the Bucks have. So I think you can still include the Bucks in that group of sustained success over the past 10 years, the past decade. And I think that through Wisconsin sports, people watching this, people that are fans of this, should count themselves extremely lucky to be watching that much sustained success. It would just be nice if it ended up being more than one championship in that time between the three teams.
All right, there he is, Charlie Using, see Sparky Fifer with you. We'll take a quick timeout, come back on the other side, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of college sports that I want to talk about, including getting rid of this spring portal of all things. And I want to get Charlie's thoughts on that because I think it's going to change a lot of stuff. Look at Q. Q was out with us yesterday, and Q said, playoff stash for the Cubs, ? In the dugout chat on YouTube. Did you shave it?
Should I throw on the leader hosens too? Just like
That's
all the...
awful. That's awful. First of all, Drew, you should find the picture and put it up on YouTube. Drew Wagner just sent us in a text the picture. And I'm like, what am I looking at? What is this? He's like, oh, that's Council and the Cubs with this leader hose and stuff that they had to wear to get on the plane or whatever for the Cubs. That's an awful thing. Like, that is just not even remotely nice to look at, Charlie. That's kind of scary.
I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. I threw on a pair of Lederhosen. Yeah, I think I'd have fun with that. Do you get to do like the Stein holding contest and everything? Like, I think that'd be pretty cool to be a part of that. I am putting the image on the screen now for you.
When if you wear Lederhosen, I'm calling in sick. I will not be here. I'm not looking at you in Lederhosen.
You don't think that's cool?
It's not happening.
You don't think
no,
that's
I'm
cool?
not. No, I'm not. I'm just telling you right now. If Charlie Using walks into the studio wearing Lederhosen, I am all of a sudden going to be sick to my stomach, and I'm going to have to go home for the rest of the day.
I think there are worse things I could walk into the studio wearing, Sparky.
Well, you have to understand, I've been shocked and awed quite a bit, right? I mean, we've had Bart Winkler.
Yep.
He was naked in the producer booth.
Mike Clemens had
an aversion to taking off his shirt and showing everybody his bare chest while he was producing the show. Thank God we weren't doing streaming video back in the day on this station because it would have been very, very scary for all involved. Coming up next, we'll talk more about things going on in college football and the spring portal and determination of getting rid of it. That's all straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, Tim Dillard, FanDuel Network Wisconsin Brewers analyst, will join us at 3:20 as we broadcast here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, right by Hart Park. Make sure to check that out. Coming up,
obligation, no hassle, just real savings you can start putting back in your pocket today. Call 800-928-0893. That's 800-928-0893. One last time, 800-928-0893.
Not good, not great.
What if they have a local Wi-Fi here? Is that better? Maybe it's the popular shop that just opened a new location by you. Or the big sports bar that's always packed.
There you go. Free guest Wi-Fi. How much time you got?
I got time.
No, but they don't need. They don't need your email. Come on. Oh,
See ya.
way better.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, just pay attention to that. If your computer goes to sleep, it might try to connect to this again. So I'm just going to shut this off. But keep it plugged in. Keep it plugged in. Keep it plugged in. But yeah, we'll shut it off.
Listen to the free.
Wow. All right, now we're way better. Fuck yeah, baby. I made it on the show. All the bitches are going to love that shit. What'd you say? All the bitches are going to love that shit. Watch your language count.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Man, I have officially now seen something I've not seen in a while. 'Cause I'm old, right? I mean, I've been through it. It's about 800 right now. I've seen a lot of stuff. Been, doing this for a long time. What happened in that last break, Charlie? We're out here in Left Lucky Town, right by Hart Park. Come hang out. Shell's 2 in front of the game out here because the Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea had us out here, which is a great thing as well. Have some 100 calories. It's a beautiful thing. So good. Try those Vodka Iced Tea Sun Cruisers today. I'm sitting here. And on YouTube, if you're watching, like I appear like a little darker, whatever the case may be, like in the shadows. So we took down the big fan backdrop behind me because, like I said, there's a garage door, so that's where I'm sitting. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So let's take it down so you can see it better. Well, you still can't see it. But you said that while we're in the break, before we pull it down, our guy Cal comes sliding in here, Charlie, puts the second headset on. And it's like trying to get his picture taken. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're not an on-air guy. I was like, you try and get girls? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, my goodness. So now he's got the picture of himself on his phone wearing a headset next to me. He's like, oh, I'm going to get the girls now. Does that work? Is that a thing, Charlie, you think?
I don't know if it's a thing. You kind of have to be able to back it up a little bit, too. So if they're going to ask you about it, ask if you're an on-air personality, then you got to start coming up with all like the perfect things to say. You got to have knowledge. It's like if you were to go to a bar and like I could pretend like, I played college football for the Badgers, then I could just have to lie about a Badgers team that I know, It's that easy.
I guess. That's just very weird. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Q says YouTube is echoing. I'm not sure why it would be echoing.
You were
got it
on it, yeah.
Oh, you got it. All right, good. Problem solved. Very good. Okay, so I want to get into, before we get to Tim Dillard of FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin, coming up here in about 14 minutes or so. He'll join us as Birds get ready to take on the Angels tonight. This spring portal deal and what exactly is happening in college football, because if you listen to the Mason Crosby show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, nobody talks more about all the craziness of college sports and NIL and everything else as much as Mason Crosby does himself. It just gets him all fired up. And he wants to talk about it. And Tommy Wirtz gets fired up. And Thunder tries to, I guess, referee the two of them as they go back and forth on different stuff. So I saw this come across last night after we got off the air. And I wanted to talk about it today. So this is from ESPN last night. College football is officially moving a single offseason transfer or to a single offseason transfer portal window. The NCAA announced yesterday. The Division I Administrative Committee voted to approve a legislative change that eliminates the spring transfer window, but did not sign off on establishing January 2nd to the 11th as a lone portal window for FBS and FCS players. In response to feedback from student athletes, the FBS and FCS Oversight Committee will discuss modifying the dates and length of the proposed January window. The Administrative Committee will consider those adjustments when it meets in October. Okay. Now, I really want to get your thoughts on this. I think you and I have talked about this before. You were never in a transfer portal window or getting sought at by other colleges for lots of NIL money to go play there. You were never disgusted by your coaching staff or your football program, even though y'all didn't win a lot, to want to go somewhere else. When you were there, you were good. You weren't going anywhere, right?
I wouldn't always say that. And I had teammates that did leave for NIL opportunities at other D3 schools, not big ones, but because there was just more opportunity. The coaching staff of the school was more willing to help with certain situations like that. And then it was available. We had transfer portal windows. There was times where guys were looking at other schools, times where I was looking at other schools. I never really wanted to leave because I was more of, if I chose to go there, that's where I was going to stay. I had a lot of friends. My girlfriend was there. It wasn't really something I wanted to do because I wasn't going to make any money. But there is money involved even at the D3 level, and there are decisions where players and coaches alike are making those types of decisions on a at least bi-yearly basis. Oh, we lost him.
Down in Tosa. Charlie, the other thing about this, too, when we talk about this whole deal with what we're going to do with this transfer portal window, the one thing I don't understand, really don't quite grasp, why would we want a transfer portal in January? Why would we want a transfer portal in January? That's the connection. Is that a connection?
Yeah, with that transfer portal.
You don't have me, Charlie?
We got you on the StreamYard right now, Sparky. So we're working on it. Yeah.
And now it's coming back up because the reality is
so with that transfer portal moving to January right now, I think some of the things that people are really looking at the college football side of things, at least, is just making sure that right now the landscape of these teams and making sure that the competitive advantage, at least between the Power 5 conferences, is really important because I don't think the NCAA wants the Big Ten, wants the SEC to take over because they have the control right now. And if one of those two conferences decides to mount out, I think that they all of a sudden take a lot of that control and allow more freedom to some of these other college teams. And because of that side of things for college athletics, for the NCAA, right now, this is a move to start controlling that type of issue that the NCAA has dealt with for a few years now. I think that when we're looking at college football, when you want that big-time playoffs that we're seeing right now to continue to be successful throughout, like the NCAA tournament, the March Madness tournament is doing, I think that what they need to do is control that transfer portal, make sure that you have dynasty-type teams like the Kentuckys that you have in that March Madness, and make sure that you are dominating as an entire league, not just as a couple of conferences like the Big Ten or the SEC, that really just takes away that power that the NCAA is dealing with right now. And because of that, with these types of rule changes, with the transfer portal, I would not be surprised if we saw the transfer portal disband at some point here, especially if this does not limit the amount of time that players are going and I guess taking that time to dominate the transfer portal themselves, unlike the schools. So right now, we are going to be joined by our guy, Josh Albrecht, to help me out a little bit while we're going through some technical difficulties.
Yeah, some fun stuff right now.
Fifer. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Josh, as you look at the transfer portal right now, as is, I feel like this is a fair change by the NCAA to kind of control that side of it.
I don't know. Honestly, it's also difficult. It's just they have to do something, right? I feel like it's all just such a mess. And I don't know if this is going to be the thing that sticks or if there's going to be something else. But I think that fans of college football should get used to this type of stuff, because you're going to get, whether it's, this plan or the next plan or something, they've got a lot of things to deal with the transfer portal and just the state of college athletics of figuring out the right way and the fairest way to do this.
I think that's kind of the biggest thing, but I don't know if the NCAA is really worried about this being fair, more so that they just have the control over this situation. And I don't know if that's something that college athletes really have that big of a problem with, if they want to have control over this. If it's something that I think these schools, some of the smaller players on these universities where they see all their teammates leaving consistently, where they see these other players coming and getting that money, this is a way for the majority of those schools' teams to be able to say, you know what, we matter still too, and that these guys shouldn't get all the spotlight all the time, and that there's other money to go around on other positions on these teams.
Yeah, and I mean, that is true. That is true. But like you said, I mean, it's still going to come down to greed and what ends up being, it's a constant battle. Like, that's the thing. As soon as one side of this makes a move, then the other will. And it's just, this isn't a this is a big problem. It's kind of, you never want to talk politics, but it's kind of like it's a never ending fight. This falls kind of into that category of, it just doesn't seem like the transfer portal and how these schools end up doing things and how you make people happy or don't, regardless of what you do, there's a repercussion, and it's an endless fight. And so this is just kind of, in my mind, the next step.
Do you think this is something that really kind of only affects college football moving forward here? Do you think the college basketball world is going to have this type of transfer portal restriction put on it? Do you think like college softball with Najari Kennedy going to Stanford
and so
that's that much money?
That's exactly it, right? That's why it's so complex. That's why you can't just have it be, as simple as apples and oranges, because there's so many. It goes differently, and the money is so different across all the different sports. From you taking an example of someone that's going to go play, women's softball or women's volleyball or lacrosse, whatever it may be, in comparison to someone in college football. Those are just way different situations, but they're trying to be handled the same right now. And that's what makes it so difficult. And I don't know.
This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Houston. That's Josh Albrecht over there. We're waiting for Steve Sparky Fifer, having some technical difficulties over at Left's Lucky Town. He'd be happy to go meet you out there in Tosa still. He's sitting out there with a bunch of Sun Cruiser Vodka merch ready for you to give away, our wonderful sponsor of this event. But while we work on that, me and Josh got it locked down over here. Josh, if we continue to look at the Big Ten kind of side of things here, for a school like Wisconsin, do you think they're better off riding with these other top Big Ten teams who are trying to go and kind of create that super conference with the SEC that we're seeing right now, and kind of ride with the power teams in order to gain any control from them? Would it be smarter to stick with NCAA and kind of hope that they can get this figured out first before these other power conferences decide to move on?
It really comes down to how seriously are you taking the power conference move, because you don't want to get left behind, and you'd rather be with the big boys in whatever they're doing than being the best school in whoever's left. Then no one's paying attention to you. Everyone's paying attention to everyone that moved on. So, but it's a risk. It's still a risk. The thing is that I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, if this is what all of the schools that you would be playing against anyway, all of your rivalries, everything that you're used to being in the Big Ten, if all of them are going, what are you doing for yourself if you stand behind?
If you see schools, I guess, like the SEC, like the Big Ten, those conferences start leaving, and there are teams that are getting left behind if they decide not to go with that, how quickly do you start seeing at the Division I level, because I've seen this at the Division III level, if you aren't going to be moving with those power teams, how quickly do you see programs get disbanded in this type of world where you're talking about this secession from the NCAA and other teams not getting the same kind of love, leaving the NCAA with those power conferences, and again, getting left behind with no protection?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is going to happen, at least if you're a Badger fan. If you're really thinking about Wisconsin, I think that they're so established that is a if that happens, wow, like the whole college landscape is on fire.
Maybe
at that
not
point.
a Wisconsin, but I guess I'm talking more about the group of 5 teams, like teams like Kent State, who don't have as much of an established program. Yeah, they got legends. Yeah, they have history. That
it's a much more difficult situation for schools like that, right? Because they're in no man's land, right? If you're a really, really small school to where you're not really even invited to the party, well, then your decision is easy. You're staying right where you are, and you're just kind of letting the chips fall where they may. If you are like we said, like Wisconsin or a school that is above that, well, then you at least know you have a hand to play. You just have to decide how you want to play it. If you're one of those schools, like you said, like Kent State, and you're in this no man's land, that's super tough because that is going to be, you have the most to lose, right? Like you said, if you take that risk and fail, you might lose everything. And we all know how important athletics are to, just people going to that university. It's a huge thing. So I personally would say those schools might have to not take the risk and just settle back until something gets established, and then maybe beg their way out of the NCAA and back into whatever that new thing ends up being.
Basically, just find any way to survive.
That you have to. I mean, it really comes down to, like you could put it out there to hunting and animals out there, and just, are you in the position to be prey or the hunter? So you got to decide that.
All right. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When we come back, we hopefully will have Steve Sparky Fifer back on. We'll test him in the break here, and he will be talking with Tim Dillard of the FanDuel Sports Network, Brewers analyst. When we come back, it'll be Wisconsin Sports Daily.
Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Left's Lucky Town here in Tosa by Hart Park. Come on out, stop out. Beautiful outdoor patio. Many people taking advantage of that here this afternoon. Shuttles to and from the Brewers games as well, home games. Make sure to take advantage of that. And don't forget, $5 Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas until game time going out here at Left's Lucky Town. 100 calories. Can't beat it. Come out here. Have a Sun Cruiser vodka iced tea at Left's Lucky Town. And $50 off apps and bottles of wine as well after 4 o'clock this evening here at Left's Lucky Town. Sparky here. Over there, he is joining us on our fan guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is Tim Dillard. How are we doing, Tim?
Good, Sparky. How are you?
Doing good out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, enjoying the nice Wisconsin weather that we have. So I'm going to bring up to you the same thing I've brought up to Jerry Augustine yesterday, because I'm livid by what I heard 2 days ago, and I can't let it go. I can't move on. It's kind of ruining my life. So Andrew Wagner of Forbes Sports, Brewers writer, joined, as he does every Tuesday here on this show, and he's at American Family Field right now getting ready for Brewers and Angels. And he suggested the possibility of Jacob Mizorowski maybe not being on the divisional round playoff roster because they haven't moved him to the bullpen to this point. It doesn't appear like he'll be a starter in this round, and that maybe they would save him to the NLCS and then give him that opportunity. I was livid for numerous reasons, but before I move on, I want to get your thoughts on, do you see a possibility of that happening?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I know Wags. He doesn't know either. He's just guessing, unless he has inside information. Yeah, there's no way to know. I bet they also had plans in place, and then Jose Quintana goes on the IL.
Right.
you can have plans, and you can say, hey, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, but baseball doesn't care if it's a week away or 1 day away. It doesn't matter. I personally don't know why you would wait around, because you're already, if they got a bye past the wild card, which it looks more and more like that,
Yep.
then it's going to be another 4 or 5 days. Then you tack on another series, and then you're starting to look at a lot of time in between facing major league hitters. So, yeah, I don't know the strategy involved in that, but I mean, I think it's Andrew Wagner just guessing, which we're all doing.
I hope that's what it is. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm going with that. Yes, thank you. That's positive. Yeah. I'll roll with that. That maybe that's just all it is. Hopefully, he's guessing wrong and it doesn't work out for numerous reasons. But the other part about this is, do you like the way these playoff series are set up in Major League Baseball? We're going from a three game series to a 5-game series to a 7-game series, because from what you're talking about too, as far as what the rosters look like, there are going to be guys that probably won't be on one roster, but will be on another roster. And if it were to be a Mizorowski or a Quintana or whoever that may not be on one roster, but then maybe asked to start in the NLCS after not having faced, live MLB hitters for 2 weeks, that's probably going to be kind of a big ask at this point.
It is. I mean, and there's still, I know 12 days. Is that right? 12 games left, something like that, 11 games. I know that seems like it's coming down to the wire, but these are all decisions that don't have to be made for a while, for 11 days or whatever. And so you can make all the decisions you want, but to me, they're going to put together the best roster for that series. And honestly, I think the team's built for a 5-game series. It's built for a 7-game series. There's a lot of teams out there that are only built for maybe 3 or maybe not at all. So I think there's a lot of stuff that's still up in the air, but the Brewers have no reason for anyone to doubt them. I mean, they've been doubted all year and have excelled. So don't see that being an issue when they're trying to put together a winning playoff roster.
I have another question that came up. We had Jerry Augustine on, and I didn't think about asking him the question. And I don't know if I've ever asked you this, because you and I have been talking for like the last 3 or 4 years doing these weekly interviews. When we talk about a pitcher that maybe struggles to get through 6 innings, high pitch count. I'm using Freddie Peralta as an example, but not specifically, but just in general, right? How much of that is game planning? How much of that is calling of the game from the catcher and the pitcher being on the same page? Meaning, catcher's calling one thing, pitcher's like, nope, I'm not throwing it there. I'd rather nibble on the outside. I'd work this a little bit longer, that type of deal. In having that cohesion that goes along with it to make it work. Because we always want to say, oh, it's Freddie, he can't figure this out and so forth, and we all get mad at Freddie. But I never asked the other aspect of how much the rest of this plays into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's game calling or anything other than, if you're using Freddie and, some of his starts, he goes 5 innings, throws 100 pitches or whatever. I think it's just because he doesn't want to give up anything. Like, he just slows the game down, which is hard to do nowadays because of all the, the clock and everything in place. So he slows things down by just nibbling. and making guys get out on pitches they wouldn't usually swing at, or they just walk and then it's like, all right, reset button, let's face the next guy, which is fine. I've had tons of teammates that would pitch that way. They didn't care if it took 40 pitches, they want a 0. And there's other people that are like, well, I want to throw 10 pitches. I'm okay giving up a home run and then I'll get the other 3 outs. And, everyone's built a little bit different. But we've seen the fact that he can go 6 innings or 7 innings, and he can do that on a 100 pitch count. But as things wind down, honestly, his last start the other day looked like all he wanted to do was strike out 10 batters. That's what it looked like the entire game.
Yeah.
It's almost like he wrote it down and said, I'm going to strike out 10 batters today, went out there and made that happen, which is not an easy thing to do. But his stuff's elite. But with that eliteness, sometimes you miss. And when you miss and don't get swings at it, then they're balls. So to your point, there's guys out there that can strike out the world in 5 innings, and there's other guys that can give up a few runs over 8 innings and on the same amount of pitches. It's kind of just whatever the game's asking for that day. Sometimes you have zero control over it, and it could be the umpire or even the environment.
Let me ask you about Eric Fetty, a guy that comes over here, was just hanging out there after being released, and looks like a really good pitcher since they've brought him over. And I think it was Dominic Cotroneo maybe brought up that it seems like he's just throwing the sweeper more, and that's been kind of the difference with him being in Milwaukee versus other places. What have you taken away from Washington pitch?
Yeah, I mean, well, he was a starter pretty much everywhere he went. So all of a sudden you got the Brewers that are like, hey, we're going to throw you in the bullpen. So now he goes from starting most of his career. Now he's in the bullpen, and it's like, we don't need you to have 8 pitches in your arsenal. Pick 2 are the best, which right now he's really showcasing his cutter and his sweeper. It's like, run with those pitches, get really good at those 2 pitches, because that's what the situation calls for now. You don't need 8 pitches coming out of the bullpen to throw 2 innings, in relief. So to me, that's what it is. Find your best stuff and run with it. I even had a coach, Eddie Perez, told me a long time ago. Eddie Perez that coached
former catcher.
Caught for the Braves, got all the big ones, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz.
He was Maddox's personal catcher, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was my manager in Venezuela, and I was doing really well and had a really good stretch for a couple weeks or a month. And then one day I show up at a place, I think we were in Magallanes, and I threw a fastball, beautiful fastball, down and away to a righty. And it was like off the plate, and it came right back down and away. And this dude just absolutely missiled it to right field, goes opposite field. And anyway, the next day we were talking, all the coaches would smoke cigars in the dugout.
Nice.
And he said, what was your first thought when that guy ambushed you and hit the first pitch fastball down and away? And I said, my first thought was, I didn't get a chance to throw him my curveball. And he goes, that's your best pitch. If that's your best pitch, you should not be waiting around on throwing that pitch. So fast forward now, I mean, you're seeing a guy in Fetty in particular. It's like you don't want to get beat on something that's not your best pitch, especially when you're a reliever. Go to your best pitch, throw it right away, and then go from there. But because the last thing you want to do is give up a first pitch hit on something that's not your best pitch, and then all you can think of is, why did I throw my best pitch? That's the worst. So we're seeing him throw his best pitches when he needs to. He's been good.
Tim Dillard joins us, of course, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst, pre and post host, game analyst as well when Rock is off too, and ultimately one of the funniest guys in all of sports. Tim Dillard, I have this question for you. Is that what makes Chris Hook so good compared to other pitching coaches? Because I feel like every time we talk about, hey, why is this guy all of a sudden doing good and they weren't very good elsewhere, and then why is this guy good? I feel like it's always the same answer. Well, Chris Hook's telling him to throw his best pitch more than maybe other pitching coaches do, I guess, across Major League Baseball. Is it really just that simple? He just has them throwing their best pitches more often than other guys?
I mean, maybe, but also, too, every situation is going to be different. Some guys are starters coming over and they're asked to be in the bullpen. Other guys are, big deals on where they come from. And now suddenly they're humbled a little bit. They find themselves with the Brewers. And so they're more, more in the right mindset to listen to some sort of instruction. But I guarantee there's some sort of checklist. They're going to go through mechanics. They're going to go through pitches. They're going to go through what works against lefties, righties. There's like no stone that's unturned when it comes to trying to put together a guy's craft. And sometimes the players can't see it. They fall in love with a certain pitch. They're like, this is my pitch. And it's like, well, you're not, every time you throw it in this count against this batter, it doesn't go well. So we need to do different things. So to me, a lot of times it just putting out there, this is what you do well, this is what you don't do well. And a lot of times I would say there's organizations that have big time pitchers. Maybe they're struggling, but they don't want to help them or maybe they're trying to, and that pitcher doesn't want to be helped. I think when you come to the Brewers, especially now as a pitcher, I think that, hey, maybe I'm good, but I have a chance to be better because their track record is speaking for themselves.
I think if you're the Brewers, you just take a picture of Quinn Priester and send it out to every pitcher in Major League Baseball and go, example A, because I'm telling you, if I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, long-suffering Pittsburgh Pirates fan that lives in Pittsburgh, and I know this was a first-round pick, and this was going to be our guy, our future, here we go, before Skeens, obviously. But again, if this dude was in that Pirates rotation with Paul Skeens right now, again, they still have to hit. I understand they haven't had any offense, but if he's in that rotation, that's a much, much better looking rotation, obviously. And to see him go somewhere else and now look like what they thought he could look like there, I mean, I would be so flustered if I was a Pirates fan at this point. And at the same point, like you said, if I'm a pitcher who has all this talent and nobody's been able to figure me out, I'm on the phone with my agent like, get me to Milwaukee, please.
Yeah, sometimes it's fresh eyes. It's fresh eyes, and they looked for something. And I'll say this about Priester in particular. This guy gets it done, goes deep into ball games. He's not afraid of contact, even though he's a young player, which a lot of times guys are afraid of contact. Even veteran players sometimes are afraid to throw the ball where it can be hit. But he knows what kind of pitcher he is. We interviewed him when we were in Pittsburgh after his great start. So it was, a couple Saturdays ago. And he had a great line. He's like, you know what? I pitched to contact. I'm going to give up hits. But the challenge is to not shy away from that, but to continue pitching to contact. And I know exactly what he's talking about. When you're on the mound and you're pitching your craft and it's not going well behind you, suddenly you go, okay, well, I got to do something else. And you have these irrational thoughts that come and you're like, all right, I need to do this or I need to do that. To hear a young player know what kind of pitcher he is and know what he's trying to do on the mound is exceptional. And that only comes from a player being told, hey, you can do this really well. Other things maybe you don't, but this you do really well. You should lean into that. And then once that pitcher buys into it, suddenly you're finding a guy that is, one of the better pitchers in baseball, honestly, especially over the last 4 months. And a guy that's not very, his delivery and everything is not very strenuous. There's guys that are max effort pitchers and you see it and everything they do is max effort. He looks like he's just kind of nice and easy, flipping it up there, and it's awesome. So that's when you're talking about longevity in baseball, he's a guy that has a chance to play for a really long time.
There's another aspect of this, and I can't tell as a fan, no idea. You're a vet, you've been out there, you've done it. Can you tell who's feels more comfortable in certain situations with runners on base based on mannerisms, based on watching them versus others that may get a little bit more flustered? And you can tell from just you watching, that dude's right now. I can see it. This is not going to go well. Because I feel like when guys get on base for Priester, it's like, I'll get a double play. I'll get a ground ball. We'll get out of this. And seemingly he gets that ground ball more times than not and can get out of any type of mess that may have gotten into previous to that. And I don't know if you could tell that as a former pitcher or not.
Yeah, well, a lot of times you can tell just by a demeanor and what a guy's trying to do. If he goes out there and he walks a couple guys, he definitely doesn't want to start pitching to contact suddenly. But I brought this up the other day. Stephen Watson and I were talking, and there was a situation in a game when they were playing, I don't know, they were playing somebody. And it's all about this. Let's say you're a pitcher and you give up a leadoff double. Whoa, okay, there's nobody out and you got a man on second, oh no. Or maybe there's one out and you give up a double and you're like, oof, maybe I'm losing it. Or you have a guy on first and you give up a weak ground ball and there's no play at second and you got to go to first. So there's the same situation, man on second, one out. But it got there two different ways. And you can tell a pitcher on which two ways. Oh, he gave up a leadoff double, then got an out. Or you can tell a pitcher that, you know what, he gave up a single and then got a ground ball. And now there's a guy on second with one out. You can tell their mannerisms. You can tell what they're trying to do. You can tell by the way they pitch. Look at ball four a lot of times when they walk people. Pitchers will tell you everything. Because if they go 0-2 and then end up walking a guy, usually they walk them on some good, really good off-speed pitch, usually a breaking ball, slider, curveball. If they're behind early in the count, if they walk them, it's going to be on a fastball. You can just tell the way that it starts and the way it ends on how guys are reacting reacting to the situation. But yeah, there's some pitchers that do not feel comfortable with runners on base. And then there's other pitchers that get better, it seems like. Chad Patrick is the guy that gets better, I feel like, with runners on base. No wonder they put him in the bullpen for a couple of starts, even though I know he's going back in the rotation now that Quintana's going down. But some guys have certain gifts, and you don't know what they are until you see them under that kind of pressure.
Are there managers that you feel like that maybe have managed you over the course of time, or that you've seen along your way in the pros that are better at knowing their pitchers in those situations and maybe not panicking with a certain guy, but knowing with a different guy, okay, I better go get him because this is about to go sideways. And if it's a different pitcher in the same situation, they're willing to let him work through it.
Yeah, there's different situations for all of it. And one thing the Brewers do really well, and I mean top to bottom, and I went through every level a lot, so is their coaches pay attention. Not to say that other organizations don't have that guy, have that top to bottom, but one thing that they do is they just pay attention. And they also know a backstory. If I'm the 35-year-old reliever, they're going to treat me a little bit different when, the dictates by the game than a 22-year-old guy that's his first year in AAA. Stuff like that. They're going to sit there and look and see and evaluate, okay, let's check out the mannerisms. And it's because they've seen a lot. They've seen so much experience. They're telling them this guy's not ready for this situation. We got a guy out in the bullpen who's loose and ready. Let's go to this guy. And I mean, you can see it play out in different ways. You saw the Angels, was it last night? Urania, they left him out there. Ray Montgomery comes out, who I know. Yep. He left. Urania's like, I'm not coming on this game. Leave me in.
He used to be in the Brewers front office. He did a draft for the Brewers in the amateur draft. Yeah, great guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. He's taken over. And, he decides, okay, I'm going to leave him out there. It ended up not going well for him. That's just kind of learning who your guys are that you can trust. Hey, we're going to leave you in there. I mean, even Pat Murphy, remember when he went out to go take Woodruff out of the ball game and they'd already visited? But that's how good pitchers are. He was convinced, Woodruff's got this. Now, legally, he had to change pitchers, but he listened to his starter. And if there was somebody else on the mound, he may not listen at all. He may be like, hey, you're done. But somebody like Woodruff, he knows, respects, and have seen him in that situation. So good coaches take, not like they're giving more whatever towards a starter or a guy that's been around a long time than a new reliever. But what they do know is experience, and they count experience as good experience, good and bad.
Well, that was going to be my last question, but then you brought up Uranus. Now I got one more now after you brought him up. People don't realize how tough it is for y'all that have to move teams, get traded, all of that, for your family, your kids, all of that. This dude has been on 5 different MLB teams this year. 5. Like, I can't even fathom what that would be like, moving all over the country, chasing. Again, you're chasing your dream. This is what you want to do. This is what you sign up for. I get it. But that's still got to be really tough.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But the whole baseball thing is tough. I mean, any guy could walk into a clubhouse tomorrow and they'd be like, hey, we're done with you. You've been released, or we're sending you down. And you may not deserve it. You may look at the numbers and like, out of these 5 guys, I should not be released, or I should not be sent down. But then sometimes there's other rules that are in place. Well, you got options, or well, you got this, or we're not allowed to send him down because of his contract, or whatever it is. It just seems unfair. And the problem is, there's players that have a hard time realizing how little control they have. You hear about these guys with the big contracts, but that's like a very small percentage, that guys that have really good contracts that are like guaranteed. Everyone else, the huge majority, could walk in tomorrow and not have a job. And that's why it's tough. It's tough on families. It's tough on spouses, kids. Like, everybody is going like, maybe you don't deserve this, or you get traded. It's like, well, we just rented an apartment. That happened to us several times. You rent an apartment and then suddenly, hey, we're calling you up, or hey, we're sending you down. And you're like, what do I do with my furniture and my kid's stroller? How do I? It's logistical stuff that you don't really think about when you're just watching a game. Like, hey, this guy skipped around from team to team. But most players, it doesn't matter. They walk into a new clubhouse, usually a pitcher. The hardest thing to do is, all right, I got to get on the same page with my catcher. Outside of that, most baseball players know how to navigate a clubhouse.
He is Tim Dillard, again, of FanDuel Sports Wisconsin, joining us here. Follow him on Twitter at Dim Taylor. Tell everybody about your podcast as well.
Oh, yeah. It's been pretty much on hiatus, but I appreciate you brought it up. I
I'm here for you.
interview a bunch of guys that usually my teammates. It's called Buses, Benches, and Baseball, and basically we talk about the minor leagues and here's some of the stories because there's so many podcasts and shows dedicated to the big leagues, and I thought, well, let's just try one about the minor leagues, and it's very simple. It's very easy. I'm going to kick it back up this off season because most of my former teammates are all coaches now or still playing, so I got to wait for the season to
Right.
be over so I can bother them again.
That's a great podcast. Absolutely check it out. There he is, Tim Diller. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Sparky.
There he is, Tim Dillard on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Steve Sparky Fifer here. Charlie Usen back there in the studio. And I'm telling you, if you're watching on YouTube right now, it looks like I'm probably like in Florida or something. Beautiful flowers hanging behind me. The sun is shining outside. I mean, doesn't it look beautiful, Charlie? It looks absolutely phenomenal on YouTube right now here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa.
You're a shining light of optimism and just happiness over there. It's all you.
You know, you're being sarcastic, but realistically, that person on this station is going to be Trevor Thomas in the morning, right? That's who that dude is, without question.
His message that he was talking about, it got me fired up, man. I'm with it.
I tuned him out. But Trevor will be on weekday morning 6 to 9 along with Josh Albrecht, who's going to bring some reality to that show. It'll be fun. Inside Wisconsin Sports weekday mornings from 6 to 9 starting on Monday. Then 9 to noon with Kuhn. That's right, John Kuhn, former Packers fullback and now sideline analyst for the Packer Radio Network. John Kuhn will be on the Fan starting on Monday with Rami Makloff, longtime Fan host, from 9 to noon. And then Brandon Snide, our guy, our vet radio producer, he will be producing that show. And then from noon until 2, it's the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, again, presented to you by Verizon. That comes up from noon to 2 each day. And then 2 to 5, that's right, it is this very show, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Fan. I'm looking forward to talking more about this Packers team, this Brewers team, and everything else with our brand new lineup coming up next week. Speaking of Wendy's, mornings can all start to feel the same. So if you're looking for a fresh wake-up call, look no further than Wendy's Breakfast. Try a breakfast Baconator with fresh cracked eggs and crispy bacon, a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or maybe even a honey buddy. Don't even think about sleeping. And Wendy's seasoned potatoes and English muffin sandwiches. Doesn't matter what you go for, it's going to change your life. Okay, well, it's at least going to freshen up your morning. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? It's got to be Wendy's. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, right across from Hart Park. Come on out, hang out, $5 Sun Cruiser, vodka, iced tea, till game time, shuttles to and from each and every Brewers home game as well. We'll see you coming up before the game starts. Back, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you. Charlie Usen back there at the radio station as we are here at Left's Lucky Town. Come out, say hi. Be here to 6:30 tonight. $5 Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas until game time tonight. And don't forget, half off apps and bottles of wine after 4 o'clock. So we'd love to see you out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa. And it would be great to see you out here. Time now for Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Fan.
All right, let's get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. Charlie's top 3 clips from around the world of sports. What you got?
All right, first up, we're going to head over to MLB Central, where the crew over there, headed by Mark DeRosa, one of the biggest fans of the Milwaukee Brewers on TV nowadays, was discussing something we were talking about yesterday, praising Freddie Peralta, praising Christian Yelich, and what it means for the Brewers as they head into the postseason here.
The Brewers handed the ball to Freddie Peralta, and he had double-digit strikeouts. He's now within 5 of a third straight 200 strikeout season. Just keep him on ice.
I mean,
give him the ball in game one.
He had
most
7 strikeouts in 2
underappreciated,
innings.
most underappreciated starter in the big league.
You think so?
I think that's a very accurate. 17 wins, you said? Did you say that?
I didn't.
No. 17 wins. High heater. Oh. Yeah, Brewers are going to be a tough out. I mean, anyone who's put eyeballs on them for 150 games knows that.
And those fans,
Christian Yelich,
they're into it.
30 bombs.
Into it.
Can we give Christian Yelich
30
love?
bombs?
Because when healthy and when right, he's one of the best players in the game. He showed it again this year. I love their lineup.
Caleb Durbin has been fantastic.
Wilson Contreras has been great too behind the plate.
No, so that's they are going to present some problems.
Freddie Peralta, it's always when you watch him, I dive into the stuff that Naze has taught me about him, what makes him so effective, right? He's got elite extension, right? It doesn't make sense that he could pitch with that arsenal. He's got upshoot on his heater, blows it by guys at the top of the zone. He's got deception and extension that makes it play a lot hotter than it appears.
Their bullpen's going to get better, right? You're talking about the first 3 are going to go. The other 2 are going to the bullpen. There's
yeah.
He's developed a good changeup, Naze says. So,
all right. So when we talk about where we're at right now with this kind of going forward, about what they're working with, if you start comparing pitching staffs and bullpens and all of this, right? Starting rotation. Say the starting 3 is Woodruff, Peralta, Priester against what, say, the Cubs have, the Dodgers, the Phillies. Where are the Brewers? Then take the bullpens as well and ask where the bullpens are. I was having this conversation earlier today with my buddy, and he said, Sparky, you can win the World Series in a small market. Look at the Kansas City Royals. They had that dominant bullpen in the back end. Pitchers only had to go for like 5 innings, and then that bullpen came in. In fact, Jerry Augustine said the same thing the other day. But is it at that level? Because really, Kansas City is the only real true small market that has really won a World Series in the last, 20 or so years at this point. Yeah, Tampa Bay's gotten there, and they've gotten beat. We've seen small markets get there and not finish. But when you look at the starting rotation and the bullpen of everybody that lines up right now in the playoffs and then stack where the Brewers would be, to me, starting rotation-wise, I feel like we're pretty good. Maybe top 3, top 4 maybe in baseball. Bullpen-wise, that's my question. Because if you don't have Trevor McGill, that really kind of screws things up for the back end of this pen.
It really does. I think Trevor McGill is the heart of not only this rotation, not only of this bullpen, but of this team. And I think having him on the field or having him at least in that outfield bullpen box is that much more important for the Brewers as having a Freddie Peralta just pitching as well as he is, or a Christian Yelich playing as well as he is. That's the fire of this team. And I think having him as the fire of this team as you get into the playoffs really will ignite everybody else, not just Freddie Peralta or Christian Yelich, but everyone else around a Freddie Peralta and a Christian Yelich.
Clip number 2.
Next up, we're going to hear from former MLB GM Jim Bowden as he joins Foul Territory at least once a month like he does usually. And he was discussing the Twins shutting down their pro scouting department and the value of scouts in today's game.
Awful.
teams, they decided to eliminate their pro scouts, which consisted of 4 people. And the 4 people didn't go to games. They weren't at the ballpark meeting players, talking to families. They weren't doing any makeup or character or heart. They were just sitting at home watching games on TV and giving opinions. And, that you don't need that anymore, right? There's enough good minds that are watching every single game. The analytic departments are breaking all that down. The video guys all have that taken care of. You don't need 4 people to tell you something you already know. What is the most important is exactly what you said, AJ. These aren't robots. These are human beings. And you win with people. You win with who do you want at the plate with the game on the line? Who's that guy you want? That's character. That's intestinal fortitude. And the only way you get that is to know the people. And so we are never going to lose the value of scouts. And the value of scouts, it's not as important to measure, the 5 tools of a player anymore. We can measure all of that. We don't need to dissect the swing in person. We can do that on video now. But the human element is how you decide, right? I mean, if you want to look at Kyle Schwarber as an example, it's not just the 50 to 60 homers he hits. It's his makeup, his character, his leadership, the kind of teammate he is, how he makes everyone around him better. There's no one that's going to catch all that on video.
This is the thing. I hated that when I saw that with the Twins. And the fact that you have an organization that has went as cheap as the Polite family has with the Minnesota Twins makes it even more worse. And I know we always complain about Mark and how cheap he may be and how he doesn't ever push chips all in and really expand that payroll to maybe, the boundaries of where maybe he'll lose money on a season to try and win a World Series. I get all of that. The old school way of having scouts, talking to people, and doing that stuff clearly is something that we don't see anymore. It's just not something that I think we're going to continue to see going forward, because how much cheaper is it to run an organization if you don't have to worry about, having to pay a staff? It's just like running a business. The less overhead you have in that situation, the more money you can make as an owner. Again, I continue to complain about this whole situation with all these automated checkouts and so forth. But I was just at the grocery store last night. There was one person, running 6 self-checkouts, a line of people, and that person was sitting there, hands folded, watching. That's all. Just sitting there watching. Now, if you would have had to pay 2 more cashiers to be on the register, and maybe they're only helping 1 or 2 people every so many minutes and so forth, well, that's 2 more now jobs you have to pay for. The reason we have all of these self-checkouts is to make these grocery stores a lot more money at the end of the day, and make this department stores a lot more money because they have to pay less people. That's why they do it. And this is the same crap we're going to have with scouting, because now it's all about the numbers. They don't worry about the chemistry. They don't worry about what a guy's like in the clubhouse or anything else. And in their minds, they can ask other people in front offices and so forth that they trust about, how is this guy with the manager? How's this guy in the clubhouse? Do you like him? And they're going to trust whatever is told at that point. And I don't know, is that good? Is that bad? I'm a big fan of having scouts. I know, oh, this guy's 80 years old. How is he still a scout, Spark? Yeah, he should be gone. They should have somebody else in his place, or just eliminate it altogether. I'm a big fan of keeping scouts in the game. But I have a feeling they're going to go by the way of the dinosaur.
I think that's reasonable to believe that. At the same time, I don't see, I guess, I understand from a human standpoint, that is not a great thing to see people lose their jobs. At the same time, the teams that have won World Series in recent years have been the teams that just went out and spent the money and put together a team that analytically looked correct together. And there have been teams that have built their organizations on the power of friendship, like the Milwaukee Brewers have, right? And they tend to come short. That's just kind of what's been happening here with this team. And I think that as we look forward to this Milwaukee Brewers organization going into the playoffs, going into the future here, I think there are going to be times where you see teams like the Philadelphia Phillies, teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers, even teams like the New York Mets, who can go into a place like Milwaukee and just beat them straight off of analytical talent that they have and the power that they've built up in those types of lineups. And the Brewers won't be able to do anything in certain games. And I think that worries me a little bit moving forward here, that that's the way this is going to go, because it does work.
I want to really see at what point do the numbers play wrong? At what point do the analytic guys have it kind of backfire on them at some point, right? Because think about it. Moneyball was what? No stolen bases, base to base, don't care about strikeouts, get on base any way necessary, never bump the baseball. That's what that was. Look at today's baseball. What happened? That's all gone. Now they're telling you to steal bases. They're telling you to play kind of the way that the Brewers are playing that old style, ignoring the money ball concepts and everything. So eventually, while that worked for a little while, now it's outdated and now people are no longer doing it. Everything eventually catches up. So I don't know if we'll get to the point where organizations will start getting rid of scouts and we're not going to, see any difference. Maybe we won't. Maybe everything will be fine. Organizations will be run the same way. But until there's actual issues in the organization to say, see, if we had scouts, we never would have been in this position. You may continue to see some of these scouts get let go, which is, again, people losing jobs, which absolutely sucks. All right, what's next?
And last up here, we're going to hear from Indiana Pacers small forward Andrew Nemhard on the Hello Welcome podcast, a smaller creator that got the chance to interview the Indiana Pacers player. And he was discussing how he feels about Miles Turner leaving the Pacers for the Bucks.
Do you feel some type of way about Miles leaving you guys, especially for the rivals?
Good question.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see him do well. Glad he got paid and wishing him success in the future, not against us, but for himself. But I think it just builds into the rivalry that we already got going. And it's going to be an exciting matchup this year.
It's going to get even better than before.
And we're not on the same team anymore, so there's no friends at this point.
Wow. So there wasn't like a message in the group chat like, "Hey guys, I'm leaving," or you guys just find out from like Shams, like everyone?
No, there was a message. Okay. So I don't think any of us have no real ill will towards Miles, but it's competition at the end of the day. It's going to get competitive.
I don't like the Pacers. I don't like Halliburton. I don't like those cats. We all know that. And I'm never a Miles Turner fan. I always thought he was overrated, if we're being honest, at the end of the day. I always said on the post-game shows and on this show, hey, Miles Turner wants to take a three-point shot. By all means, do take as many three-point shots as you want, because I'm going to bet that you aren't going to make a lot of them. And there would be games where he'll hit 3-4, and you're like, okay, Sparky, you were wrong. Fine. But I would always play the numbers and let him take the shot as much as he wants to take the shot, because that guy, to me, can be far more dangerous if you let him play inside, which in today's NBA nobody does, versus letting him jack threes from the outside. That was my thought on Miles Turner. I can't say my thought on Miles Turner has changed much, but we do know this. Brook Lopez wasn't a three-point shooter previous to getting to Milwaukee, and Brook Lopez turned into a pretty good three-point shooter in Milwaukee. John Horst and the Bucks organization will tell you that they have done a fairly good job at developing guys into better three-point shooters when they're in Milwaukee than maybe where they are at other points of their career prior to getting to Milwaukee. So if they can develop Turner into a better three-point shooter than he is and make him even more of a dangerous stretch five, that would be great. From the Bucks perspective, even if he doesn't develop into that, it's still a win because it's a younger version of Brook Lopez, right? You still get that shot blocker. You get a more athletic Miles Turner that can get out and run with Giannis and Kevin Porter Jr. and these guys. I think that puts him in a better situation. What I want to know is how physical is this Bucks Pacers series going to be when these two teams now match up in the regular season, if they get each other in the playoffs, right? I mean, is Miles Turner going to be throwing elbows at his friends on the other team? Are they going to be throwing at him? Like, how physical will this be? Because it was already a physical series. Again, don't get me wrong. Like, these two teams do not like each other. This is not fake. This is not a fan base rivalry, which a lot of these rivalries are nowadays. Packers and Bears have no hate amongst players, amongst each other. That's a fan-based rivalry. This Bucks Pacers thing, this is real. They really don't like each other. So that is going to be interesting to see how that plays going forward. And again, you would assume Miles Turner is going to get booed out of the stadium every time he touches the basketball, Charlie.
You would think so, but also I think the Indiana Pacers, like Andrew Nemhard said in that clip, probably don't have too much ill will towards a guy like Miles Turner. And I think that if the team doesn't have that much ill will, the fan base will kind of follow suit. And he'll always have his haters. Craig Counsell will always have his haters. But I also think there's a sect of the fan base that will maybe not forgive him, but let it go at some point here. And I think with Miles Turner, that's going to happen sooner than with Craig Counsell. And I think he's a player that gave Indiana a lot while he was there, stuck around with it as long as he could.
Yep.
And then eventually he just had to move on, kind of like a Damian Lillard. And Portland still loves Damian Lillard, and he came back, and they welcomed him back with open arms. So I think it'll be okay for Miles Turner.
There he is, Charlie Houston, C. Sparky Fifer with you. Those are our 3 clips of the day. Charlie sounds today. We're running a little bit behind, so we'll take a quick time out, come back on the other side, get a green and gold update brought by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Players talking after practice today. We heard from Matt LaFleur from before practice. Now we'll hear from some players from after practice today. That's coming up straight ahead. Zach Tom talks. Matthew Golden talked as well. So can't wait to hear those guys. Coming up straight ahead, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, right across the street from Hart Park. We got all kinds of fan merchandise out here, T-shirts, bucket hats, got some bags, some pop sockets for your phones, and of course, Sun Cruiser, vodka, iced tea, koozies, hats, the whole deal. Again, 100 calories, don't got all the bubbles, and $5 Sun Cruisers going till game time tonight here at Left's Lucky Time. We'll be out here to 6:30. Coming out. Say hi.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Love's Lucky Town. Come on out. Hang out with us, baby. Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Teas. $5. That's all there. $5 till game time. Brewers and Angels tonight. Brewers shuttles to and from the home games. Picking you up, dropping you off out here again at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, right by Hart Park. That stoplight out here, Charlie?
Yeah.
That break was how long? 4 minutes?
About, yeah.
Did you fill it all?
I added one more, so 5 minutes about, yeah.
I'm telling you, I stood at that stoplight waiting across the street for at least 3 minutes. And then ran to the car, parked the car, ran back to here so I didn't get ticketed, parked out there because it's 3-hour parking whatever. So I moved up like 2 stalls so I wouldn't get a ticket, and then run back here out of breath. Goodness gracious.
You're an athlete.
All right. No, definitely not. Let's get to our next segment.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
All right, let's get to our green and gold update. This is always a fun segment because we always get you the latest on what's going on. Our guy Ryan Wood from the Green Bay Press Gazette, who will join us tomorrow at 2:40. Looking forward to talking to him as we get ready for Packers and Browns on Sunday. Don't forget the Green Bay Football postgame show immediately following Packers-Browns here on The Fan with Tommy Words and myself. Let's hear from, let's start with the injured guy. Zach Tom, a Packers right tackle, dealing with an oblique injury. We heard Matt LaFleur earlier today talking about, hey, we're not making the decision yet. We're hoping he gets better, feels better. And I had said earlier in the show in that first hour, there's no way. Like, I'm just saying, you're not playing. It's an oblique, man. You mess with an oblique and put somebody out there before they're ready, and you're going to be out several more weeks after that. I say play it safe. Let's see what Zach Tom has to say.
So Zach Tom here is talking about Anthony Belton to start.
Obviously a really good player. I think he did some good things on tape on Thursday. That just showed that's kind of just like the tip of the iceberg. He has good feet, good hands. He has some things he needs to clean up. But yeah, I mean, I think you can see it on the film. Like, his set, it looks clean. He's good in the run game. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for him.
Is this anything similar to anything you've dealt with before?
No, I've never felt like this. No, I never had nothing in that area.
What are kind of like the challenges right now with your body?
It's kind of hard to run. That's like the main thing. There's some like, I feel like moving side to side, I'm good, but like anything that involves me trying to like get out and open up, that's kind of like, then I can kind of feel it a little bit. But yeah, we just got to work through it.
All right, stop right there. Pause right there. All right, Charlie. Now, I've always said I like the NFL draft combine. They got these dudes running 40s and everything else. I was like, come on, man. Who cares how fast this dude is running a 40? All I care about is short space, short distance. I'm not expecting this dude to run down anybody from behind on an interception or anything like that. I don't need this dude to run fast in 40 yards. He's talking about side to side. He is good. And as an offensive tackle, you feel good about yourself if you can go left to right. Him saying, as long as I don't open it up running, I'm fine. Now, as I said, I wouldn't play him. But if they decide to, that's cool. Then you just tell Zach Tom, no running. You can't be pushing it at this point. It's too much of a tricky situation for me because to tell somebody not to do what they automatically do based off instincts, like, just instinctually, there you go. Instinctually, he's going to take off running if that's what he would normally do in a situation, and that could hurt the oblique even more. So after hearing that, I'm even more out on playing him.
Well, and I don't know if he really is saying open it up, like start running full speed, more so opening up his arm and moving like how you're running, where you're stretching your arm and your oblique a little bit more. When you're moving side to side, it's really more with your legs. And again, you're keeping your upper body very still and hitting with interior type of presence and not opening up your arm outside. So I think if he means by opening up that kind of movement of opening up his arm, that's something that, again, he may not be able to control later on in those games where he is getting a little bit more tired when the defense is trying more of these outside type pressures, outside type stunts, where it is going to involve him having to open up more against a guy like Myles Garrett potentially at points.
Sure.
And that could be more of an issue. So I think, yes, his side-to-side movement, his ability to still use his legs to his advantage is there. But again, his upper body doesn't sound like it's fully there right now.
All right, more of Zach Tom, who talked today after practice.
You have to go in and repair those things. Has that been discussed at all?
No, I think they said it wasn't that bad. It was torn away a little bit, but not like to the point where they had to repair it.
So would you say you're optimistic about Sunday?
Ask me tomorrow.
I guess if you had to go, though, what have you seen from the D-line from the Browns and obviously, Myles Garrett?
They have a pretty physical front. They line up and they're just going to try to get penetration. So obviously they have a good pass rush. So we're going to have to be ready. Hopefully we can get the run game going a little bit. Obviously when we have to protect, we have to use good technique, and no matter who it is out there, block. So, doesn't change week to week.
What is this? We all played last week without you and Aaron. Just what it's like for kind of the depth y'all been able to accumulate on this offense.
It's obviously good to get those guys reps, especially AB, because I think he has, like I said, he has a lot of stuff to clean up, but he has the potential to be a really good player. It's obviously good when you can get more guys reps and then obviously win the game.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. When he says, check with me tomorrow, and everybody starts laughing, it's Thursday, dude. Tomorrow's Friday. You play Sunday at noon. I don't need to check with you. You ain't playing. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you talk about the Cleveland defensive line and what you're dealing with, this is something we're all well aware of how physical they are. And as this whole presser started off with Zach Tom talking about Belton, that is a big challenge, putting Belton out there at right tackle in this game. And if he holds up, great. If he doesn't, then what's going to happen? You're going to have to chip. You're going to have to do other things to try and help him. And maybe you're running left. You're not running right because you don't want to deal with Myles Garrett at that point if he's dealing with Anthony Belton on the right side. So you start running away from him. Or if you think Belton can hold his own, maybe you run at him to try and slow down the pass rush. What would be your game plan if there is no Zach Tom, Charlie?
You run away from Myles Garrett even if Zach Tom is there. Your goal is to avoid Myles Garrett as much as possible on this defense, because it feels like almost anywhere else that you could probably get a decent chance of attacking that group, even though they are one of the stronger defenses in the league, statistically, at least on PFF. I don't know about score-wise, you notice that, but their offense is so abysmal that it does not help out their defense at all. I think as long as you can avoid a Myles Garrett, I think that should be your goal. But on the other side of things, if you can find a way to tire Myles Garrett out, if you can get him running side to side a lot, you can do a lot of that play action where it kind of misdirects him a little bit in hopes that he bites inside and then tries to chase the quarterback back out. And then you can get these quick passes off here too. There's a lot of ways to go about this that I think you can be excited for this Packers offense without a Zach Tom having to be out there.
All right, that was Zach Tom. I also want to hear from Matthew Golden. Before we do that, we got the updated injury report from the Green Bay Packers, the Thursday part of this. Friday's a big one, right? If we're being honest, Friday is kind of the biggest one at this point. But as of Thursday, full participation still for Zane Anderson and Jordan Love, which is great. Tucker Kraft, who's not listed on Wednesday with a knee, limited participation, along with Josh Jacobs, Nate Hobbs, Aaron Banks, to go along with Bo Melton and Zach Tom, all limited limited participation at this point. We'll see where the whole thing is at tomorrow. But if we start eyeing up who really needs to play for this team, I think you need, I guess, if we're going to say need, because you should be able to win regardless of who misses games one way or the other. But you'd like to have Josh Jacobs in this game because, as we talked about before, the run game is going to be the key for this offense. If they can establish that, that will open up everything else against this Browns defense.
with Josh Jacobs on the field, this offense is 5 times better no matter what. And I think having him, again, against a team like the Browns, when you've seen what Matt LaFleur has done in the past 2 games, where it just feels like he, again, wants to keep instilling this mentality on this team, you don't need a Josh Jacobs to win a game against the Browns, but you need him out there to continue building that mentality. You want him to be a leader on that offense, be a vocal kind of person on that offense, and help them out that way as well by just being on the field. Maybe you don't run the ball as much with Josh Jacobs in this game. Maybe you do a more committee style backfield, but at the same time, Josh Jacobs, I think, still has to be out there for you to continue to build that type of chemistry that you're looking for.
Charlie using over there, Steve Sparky Fifer here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, across from Hart Park. Come on out, hang out, say hi, watch the game here, maybe take the shuttles to and from the game that they have here, leaving from Tosa. A big game tonight, Brewers and Angels. Every game is a big game, as the Brewers now trying to clinch the NL Central, matching numbers at 6, and the Brewers trying to hold off the Phillies to clinch the number 1 seed in the NL playoff race. Quinn Priester on the mound coming up tonight for the Brewers. Tommy Wirtz, leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He'll be coming up at 5 o'clock as we get ready for Brewers and Angels. You'll hear from Pat Murphy. You'll hear from Drew Wagner, who's down at American Family Field with Forbes Sports. And you'll also hear from Austin Herdania with his parlay pick of the night. Been pretty successful this year from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He joins Tommy as well. All right, let's hear from Matthew Golden, who spoke a little bit earlier today after practice.
It feel amazing, you know. First 2 NFL games that I got, and we 2-0. So, you know, I couldn't ask for anything better. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to the next couple games we got.
Now you got your first road trip too. What are the just emotions about that? Finally getting to experience that.
I'm ready. Just ready to go out there and play. I mean, that's really all. Go out there, start off 3-0, and get on to the next team.
So, Matthew, everybody's talking about this team, both your offense and defense, because of the strong start. Now you play a team that's 0-2, it's on the road. So what's the biggest concern you guys are talking about in your meeting spirit?
Just having that mindset of, you know, not looking at the record, but treating them as another team that we need to beat. You know, not looking too much over them, but having that mindset that we're going to go out there, dominate on both sides of the ball, you know, play really well as a team and come out with the dub.
How close were those 2 deep shots against Washington? I mean, you feel like Jordan said it was a game of inches.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're pretty close to connecting on that?
Yeah, I feel like I was pretty close. You know, maybe I could have made a play on the first one. No, on the second one. I probably could have dove for it, but you know, we're going to get a lot of more opportunities. So, you know, just looking past that, you know, just being present. So whenever we do get that next opportunity, I'm going to make the most of it.
The one in the end zone, is there any way for you to come – I mean, you're going full speed the other way, right? Is there any way for you to come back for the ball there, or is it just where your
you know, my momentum was taking me forward. So, I mean, it's really nothing much else I could do, you know, trying to get that ball. So, like I said, man, just go back to we're going to have many more opportunities, and we're going to get comfortable. So.
How hard is it to have that patience and that mindset? Because obviously you want it all right away, right?
Yeah. You know, obviously you want to make every play that comes your way. You want to make plays. Like I said, I mean, we 2-0. That's all I care about. So I know whenever my number is called, I'll be ready. You know, that's all I'm looking at. So I'm glad to get to play with a group of guys like this. And we're just going to keep taking it one game at a time.
There you go. There is Matthew Golden, who earlier said they want to get to 3-0 and ends it with taking one game at a time. You wonder how much overconfidence might be exuding through that Packers locker room right now, looking ahead to the Bears, or looking ahead to the Browns, I should say, knowing how well they've played the first 2 weeks.
I think with this Green Bay Packers team and the mentality that they have, again, that I keep talking about Matt LaFleur wanting to bring to this organization right now with this Packers young team, I think going in here with that same mentality again against the Browns is important. And a lot of these guys are talking about going 2-0 to start off and how they've dominated those first 2 games. You've heard 2 different players now talk about how they're going to go 18-0. Rasheed Walker said it earlier today too. I think this is something that Matt LaFleur would want to kind of curb a little bit. And Matthew Golden correcting himself a little bit and going back and saying, you know what, take it one game at a time, actually. This is how it's supposed to be. We have the Browns right in front of us. is that little bit of Matt LaFleur coming out of him and saying, you know what, hold yourself back, because we are still a young team. We are still a team that's trying to prove ourselves, even though through first 2 weeks we've done a pretty good job of that. We got to keep that going moving forward here, even if you are excited about how it started.
All right, I'll take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. We'll hear from Brewers manager Pat Murphy. He was on earlier today on The Fan with Middays with Thunder, with Mitch Thunder Nellis and Tommy Wirtz. So we'll play back a couple of clips from that. That's coming up next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Baseball calls for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka, refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Don't forget $5 Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Teas right now up until first pitch today between Milwaukee and the Angels. Time now for your fan weather forecast, brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. Right now, 80 degrees, sunny skies outside. Looking like clear skies for the rest of the evening, which is a beautiful thing. A low of 62. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Fans. We broadcast live from Left's Lucky Town in Tulsa, right across the street from Hart Park. Come on out, say hi. Got all kinds of cool specials going on. $5 Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas, no bubbles, 100 calories. Why wouldn't you want one? And they're absolutely freaking delicious. Come out here, take advantage of that. Plus half off apps and bottles of wine after 4 o'clock tonight, and shuttles to and from the game here at Left's Lucky Town in Tulsa. Love to see you out here. We're out here till 6:30. Coming up at 5 o'clock, Tommy Wirtz on the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Get you ready for Brewers and Angels. First pitch around 6:40 coming up tonight. All right, Charlie, using earlier today, our guy Pat Murphy, Brewers manager, joined Middays with Thunder with Mitch Nellis and Tommy Wirtz. Covered a lot of ground during that interview. If you missed any of it, go back, listen to it. Wherever you download your favorite podcast at, go back, check it out on YouTube. Go back, listen to it on, like I said, your Odyssey app, wherever you download your favorite podcast, or go to thefanmilwaukee.com. You can check it out there as well. Charlie and Tommy do a great job with the website, keeping everything updated on the front page, all the interviews, all the fun segments. A great job day in and day out. So when Pat Murphy was on earlier, he talked about being given going on credibility with his team versus credit.
I don't think credit is even anything that we should talk about. You know, it's credibility is what we talk about. Do those players develop credibility to be able to sustain it? And are they trusted by their teammates? And that's the credit word that we talk about is credibility. Who gets the credit? Who cares? Mm-hmm. You know, that's just not our deal. But you're right for picking out, like, these are young players that no one had on their roster. A lot of these players on our roster wouldn't make the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Cubs or the Padres. They wouldn't make the team, but they make our team because we're the sum of the parts. You know, like, we don't have a bunch of superstars. We don't, but we have guys that want to grind. We have guys that want to fight you and have that mental toughness for the now. Now, it's been amazing what these guys have achieved. They really have. And I'm really proud of them. We got a lot of season left, and we're beat up. We're beat up badly. We got guys going on one leg. We got guys with all sorts of physical ailments. And, you know, we got a long way to go. So there's no coasting, you know, and we got to keep that mentality.
Well, and Pat, how is that like a top-down thing preached, whether it is from Mark at the top or leaders in the clubhouse who are there every day on the coaching staff? And Christian Yelich specifically is who I want to get to as well with this. If you're going to have this mantra of win today and we're not worried about credit, we're worried about credibility, that's got to start from your leaders on the team, right? And Christian Yelich seems to embody that mindset better than anyone in your clubhouse, at least from the outside looking in.
I mean, he's incredible. You know, I don't know better than anyone else or whatever at it. He's just been at it the longest.
Sure.
He's cool, calm, collected. He doesn't force it. He doesn't try to be a leader. He doesn't try to draw attention to himself ever. He's humble. He's sincere. He's authentic. And he provides such great example that it's a lesson on leadership, you know, and he gives his opinion and he speaks up, but in really good doses, you know what I mean? In really good doses. He's critical to this ball club.
He is critical to this ball club. I agree with you on that. Can I tell you, I listened to that interview earlier today, Charlie. Do you know what I'm sick of?
What's that?
I mean, I really am sick of listening to. Every time this man talks. Well, you know, the other team's really better than us. Well, you know, the other team, you know, man for man, they're going to be better than we are. Well, you know, that pitcher, he's making a lot of money, so he's a star status. We're going to have a tough time with him. You know, that guy over there, he's making a lot of money, so that's going to be a tough one there. Man, every time this man talks, he acts like we're just the sledges of the earth. And how in the world can we even be competing with all these upper tier talent and so forth? I'm telling you, and I realize I have an ego, but some of those guys in those clubhouse, man, it drives me absolutely nuts. Okay, you can play this game in April when nobody expects you to do anything and so forth. Man, you are the 1 seed. You are not the Sledges of the earth. You are the best team in the National League. Now start acting like it when you talk about your baseball team. And he's not. He's acting like we're the movie Major League and we're the Cleveland Indians, for God's sakes. That's not what this is. Like, I get why he's doing it to a degree, right? I told you this before. He may not admit to it, but I'm telling you right now, this is all a setup. Because then if they get beat in the playoffs at some point, 1 seed or not, it's going to be, hey, man, I mean, you look at what they got over there and their payroll and how talented they are, and you look at what we have. Like, it's just an amazing year. We are happy to get to where we got to, and we'll see what happens next year. It's really tough to try and win a series against such a talented team like that with the payroll that they have. You can see it coming. He's setting it up. So if this goes sideways in the playoffs, he's going to fall right back. That he keeps hammering into your brain every day, all season long. I am so over listening to the Lou Holtz Notre Dame speech before every game and in every interview. This is the same stuff Lou Holtz did. We talked about this before. Lou Holtz could be playing Arrowhead High School. He'd make him sound like it's Alabama with Nick Saban going into that week, and then Notre Dame would hammer them by 75. They were a tough game. It was really tough out there for us today. And everybody just laughs like, okay, Lou. I mean, Pat Murphy has turned in to Lou Holtz. The difference is Lou never kind of downplayed his guys the entire time. This dude does it constantly.
I get where you're coming from. And I think for a while I was with you that it felt weird that he was going with this constant underdog mentality. But I think from what I've seen, at least from the way that like MLB Network just lately over the past couple of weeks has talked about this Brewers team, they're excited about the team and they think it's a really good team, but they never talk about it with like individual guys. It's always at least talking about 3 to 4 different Brewers and how they're all making this impact together as a team, and how it's always Freddie Peralta and Christian Yelich and the rest of the rotation all together. I think there is a good half of this team. I think a guy like Caleb Durbin, a guy like Joey Ortiz, that in a vacuum, if you asked the Yankees or the Dodgers if they wanted to put that player on their team, they would probably say no. But with the Milwaukee Brewers, he works. And with that team, he works together as a unit. And I think he's saying that specific players, these guys on their own, are underdogs. And they are players that other teams would not have given the same kind of opportunity to. And I think that is still stands even after what we've seen throughout this season. It's Christian Yelich, it's Bryce Terang, it's Freddie Peralta, and it's Trevor McGill. And outside of that, I think there are a good 5 to 7 teams that would turn down almost everybody else on this roster.
William Contreras is on every other roster in Major League Baseball. Yes, he is. Brandon Woodruff, coming back from injury, how he's pitched would be everybody would take Brandon Woodruff in the rotation right now going
before the season. I don't know they would have.
Well, no, he was hurt. But I'm saying right now, with what they have right now, as we continue to talk,
Did you expect
they have
him to
nothing
come back this
on this
strong?
roster.
Did you expect him to come back with that same fire that he had before his injury?
Charlie, this is great. If this was March and you and I were having this conversation, it's September and they're the 1 seed. I don't give a damn what you thought or what I thought. No, I don't care what you thought or what I thought or what he thought prior to the season. You are now the 1 seed. Act like you are the manager of a 1 seed. Do not continue to act like you're the last team in the playoffs. You're happy to be there, and destiny is going to screw us because we're not as talented as the other team, and our payroll not as good as the other team. And oh my God, look at San Diego. All those guys are going to pay a lot of money as starting pitchers, and we're going into that series, and it's going to be tough sledding for us. I am so sick of it. You have the best team in baseball, man. Act like it. Talk like it. Give some respect to the people in that clubhouse. They've busted their tail end all year long. Yes, nobody thought they'd be this good at the beginning of the year. Absolutely. And to Charlie's point, yeah, you're right. Joey Ortiz may not be able to go out and start on a lot of baseball teams and all of that. That's fine. It is what it is. But you have this record, which means you're really good, which means going into the playoffs, you're going to be one of the teams favored to win this damn thing. And no matter what you say between July and now, it's not going to change the reaction that a majority of people are going to have to this if you fall on your face again. Because that's what this organization has done year in and year out. You go into the playoffs, you lose the first round, you go home. 2018 was the last time. That was 7 years ago. You're in the playoffs pretty much every year. If you go into the divisional round and you fall on your face, do not come to me with, well, they're really talented. Well, their payroll is bigger than mine. When you've been the best team all season long. I am not going to hear it. I'm not going to care about that side, that opinion, that take. I'm not. At some point, you have to realize you're really good. And the players on your team are really good. Your starting pitching staff is good. Your bullpen, even without McGill, is still pretty good. And when you compare them to everybody else's bullpen in the league, your bench is going to be as good as anybody else's bench in baseball. When you start talking about the guys that have been coming out of this bench and the bats and what they've done throughout the year, you're going to have one of the best benches in baseball. You yourself, as manager, Pat Murphy, is probably going to win Manager of the Year again, back-to-back years. I'm over the whole line of conversation from this dude. I'm done with all of it. Okay, let's move on. Pat Murphy, I think it was Tommy Wirtz at the end of the interview, asked him about Bob Uecker, and Tommy says, never got to meet Bob Uecker, even though Tommy used to work with the Brewers, never had that opportunity, and asked him, how do you think Uecker would react to what's going on this season if he was here?
I never had the opportunity to meet Bob Uecker in my lifetime, which is a huge regret in my life. I was even employed when I was 18 with the Brewers and never found my way over there. What would his reaction to this season be so far? How would he be going throughout this? I mean, it's been an awesome run throughout the summer, and you see a lot of great stories and a lot of great moments. You have the burgers for the city and the moments of Miz coming up and being an all-star, right? Like
the pancakes.
The pancakes, I'm assuming Bob would have shared a pancake with you, at least from what I know. But what can you imagine, the first year without him and forever with this organization, and how would he have reacted to what's going on this summer?
Yeah, he's the same, I believe Uke is with us in spirit, and we can feel him around the clubhouse. I mean, I can just see him coming forward, the same every single day. Howdy, boys. When we lost, he's like, don't worry about that. When we won, he'd be the same. He'd be talking about something else. He knew how to handle his whole, the baseball season. That's where he was most at home, in the clubhouse. That's where things were really, really special for him. So, I mean, I'm just, I'm here to tell you that he is as connected to this group as he was the last year's group.
I will tell you that it sucks that he's not here, man. Like, you telling me that dude wouldn't have loved all these dramatic come from behind victories, him being on the call of all those game-winning plays for the Milwaukee Brewers throughout the year, having multiple winning streaks at 11 plus throughout the year, getting the hamburgers for everybody as well, being the best team in baseball, stealing the bases, doing everything they do. And he went through that last year, obviously, to a certain degree. But this year has been a super fun year, a crazy year, no question about it. One that most of us will never forget. And Tommy and I got into it, was it yesterday, Charlie, about, who you're going to remember from this team the most when you look back on this thing in 5 or 10 years and so forth. But there's going to be a lot of different moments that we'll talk about on the Fan, on this radio station, 5 years from now, when Charlie and I are having a conversation like, man, you remember back when they made that run and they fell short? Yeah, what happened? Hey, man, do you remember back when they won the World Series in that year? I'm telling you right now, I may retire if they win the World Series. I may be done. It may be Charlie's show the day after they win the World Series. I may be like, I'm good. I am good. Life is good. I got to see all my favorite teams win a championship in my lifetime. I am happy. I may just go and do something else. I don't know how I'm going to act, Charlie. I really don't. I didn't know how I was going to act when the Bucks won a championship, and I actually was pretty good. I was good. I had a lot of fun. If the Brewers win it, though, man, that'd be something else. All right, Pat Murphy, more of Pat Murphy from earlier today on The Fan when he joined Middays with Thunder, Mitch Nellis and Tommy Wirtz, talked about the Brewers' mental toughness.
I mean, it's hard to control. These are young minds and our minds. I mean, young or old, we're still at times undisciplined, and it's a difficult task. It's the mental toughness that it takes to stay in the now is incredible. It just is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's mental toughness. The mental toughness to stay in the now is really, really hard. And if players can start to take that journey and realize, wow, this is hard, but knowing that that's the journey that can lead you to a lot of success because your mind's on the right stuff, that's toughness.
I agree about the mental toughness aspect of this. And battling through that next guy up philosophy, right? You talk about it in every sport. Every coach tells you the same thing coming up. I don't care how young you are. Oh, so-and-so's not here because they're sick or whatever. All right, next man up. Let's go. Get out there, Johnny. Let's go do your thing. If you learn that as an athlete all the way up, when you get to the professional level, it's really preached to you. Realistically, though, if we're being honest as a fan, there is a reason one player is starting, making $30 million a year, and there's a reason the guy behind him is making two, right? Because there's a significant amount of difference in the talent level. And in most cases, like football, basketball, you can coach around, you can scheme up to cover a weakness if somebody is hurt or whatever for so long. Long range of time, much harder. Eventually, you'll be exposed. Jordan Love goes down, misses 2 games. You scheme up, you change the offense to make Malik Willis be in a situation to where you can win those couple of games till Jordan Love comes back. Jordan Love goes out 10, 12 weeks, curtains. Does not matter. He's not going to out-scheme anybody for 10 or 12 weeks. For a couple weeks, you can make that work. In this situation here with the Milwaukee Brewers, as he talked about too, and I don't know if we have that clip or not, but he talked about there are 2 dudes right now from that series in New York that are still rolling and have been rolling all year long. Like, that is crazy town stuff. If you think about all the injuries that have happened to this Brewers team, and they're still the best team in baseball. And again, next guy up stuff, continuing to bring guys up from AAA, signing guys off the street, and having success no matter who you plug in. Big time stuff, not only from Pat Murphy and the coaching staff, but also a lot of credit goes to Matt Arnold, GM of this Brewers team, for having this all put together and being able to cover holes as we go. Now let's talk about Pat Murphy. He was none wanting to talk about the playoffs. I'm just telling you right now, like, they went back at him a couple of times about the playoffs. He was sidestepping like Muhammad Ali. Let's hear about Pat Murphy on the playoff rosters.
It's tough to forecast what the roster is going to look like completely. It's tough to forecast too much because McGill's injury, could not go away. The Quintana injury, we feel confident he will be able to help us at some point. But look, guys, we got to finish this to the finish line.
Yeah.
We got to finish it the right way.
Yep.
We've got tough opponents, maybe the toughest schedule of anybody because of familiarity and being on the road so much. And the pitchers we're facing, all that kind of comes into play. And we got to understand we've always overcome things. We played last year, won the league by 10 games. Yelich only played 73 games for us.
Yep.
Devin Williams played half the season. It's the who, it's the collection working together. And I think we're going to have to do it that way because we're not going to match up with any team in the postseason man for man. We match up in a different way. We match up and here we are, here's how we play, let's see how we do it. So I'm not even there yet mentally, I'm just
yeah.
See, that's what I was talking about. That is exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's always the same thing. Well, we don't match up. Well, they're more talented than us. Well, they have a bigger payroll than us. Well, we didn't do anything in the offseason. It's always something. And again, it drives me nuts. You're the best team in baseball, man. Act like it. Talk like it. You are number 1 in baseball. Tell everybody, man, I got the best team. I don't care what's on the other side of the field. I don't care what their payroll is. I don't care how much those guys are making. We have the best team in baseball. They got to come through Milwaukee. They got to beat us if they want to go to the World Series. I got my guys. I believe in my guys. We're going to get this job done. I want to hear that. I don't want to hear, feel sorry for us. We don't have as many talented players as them. The roster isn't stacked with a bunch of multi-million-dollar guys like Philly or New York or some of these other teams or the Dodgers. I'd rather have the confidence and these are my boys. We're going to win this thing. You got to come through Milwaukee. We're number 1 in the NL for a reason. You got to beat us to get through to the World Series. We've earned this spot. We're talented. We're ready. We're ready to, let's go. That's what I want to hear. Give me some of that, Pat Murphy. That's what I want. Pat Murphy now talking about focusing on the now.
Do you have a win goal in mind? Is it a finishing a certain place in the division or in the league in mind? Or is it just playing the best baseball you can over 162?
Yeah, I try to not let my mind go to those big things. Like I really believe in this win tonight thing.
Yep.
And you just prepare them to win tonight, and then you look up and you go, wow, that was decent.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Like we had last year, nobody predicted us to win the league last year, and we won the league by 10 games. Like people can say what they want, and if you start putting any time into that or making your own predictions, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Just go ahead and put your head down and play tonight and see what happens.
I don't mind that. I'm good with that. I'm happy with focus on the now, win tonight. Don't worry about tomorrow until tomorrow. That has what has made Pat Murphy as a manager so successful, right, during the course of the year. Pat Murphy acted that way last year. Pat Murphy has acted that way this year. If you want to have a knock on the trader down in Chicago when he was here as Brewers manager, he didn't do that. He consistently started thinking about the next series or series after that, and we're just letting guys go out there and get rocked, right? Whatever, it's done. And we move on. Pat Murphy doesn't do that stuff. There haven't been many games in 2 years that I can think of, Charlie, where Pat Murphy has let guys out there just to get hung out to dry and give up 7 or 8 runs because he's just willing to throw the game away. Like that, that's not something that we've really seen from Pat Murphy. That bullpen is tired. That bullpen gets more used than any other bullpen in baseball. I know that because he's trying to win every game.
Yeah, but sometimes he does that with the batting order. Sometimes it feels like he's putting out lineups
Don't get
out
me
there.
started on the batting order.
It sounds like
I'm
he's
just talking
putting
about
lineups
the
out there
pitching.
that don't feel like they're trying to win games at points, and they still end up winning games with that lineup because he has a certain mentality that he puts through this team, and I think that is the biggest key. So that no, he doesn't do that to pitchers, but also like we talked about with this pitching system that the Brewers have built here, the pitching camp, the pitching lab that they've built. It doesn't feel like anybody is set up for failure, no matter what. Even if you are a guy coming straight up from the minor leagues just to pitch your one game, it feels like that they are taking care of you some way and that they know who you are and what you can do. So there are very few opportunities for you to even be left out to dry. And I think that is what Pat Murphy's goal is even when it is a situation where he is doing that, most of the time they've set that player up so that they don't get screwed over like that.
Hey, all right, so take a quick time out. No, let's come back. Sorry, I grabbed on YouTube. You just saw me do something. I grabbed a stress ball and threw it to a kid, the fan stress ball, so he had it. Was that wrong? Was that out of line? Should I have not done that,
No,
Charlie?
I think
Did you
that's
think
fine.
like I passed out for a second?
I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't looking at the screen and then I heard silence,
I didn't
so
realize
I didn't know what was happening.
I didn't realize I pulled the screen back and threw it until I went, I put it back up, and there I was. Sorry, scared anybody that might have been watching on YouTube. All right, see Sparky Fifer here. Charlie using over there. Come back. We'll talk with Tommy Wirtz for a couple of minutes. Then we get to the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sports, but coming up from 5 until 6:30. We're out here at Left's Lucky Town in Tosa, across from Hart Park. We will be here till 6:30 tonight. Come on out, hang out. Again, Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas, $5 a piece until game time tonight between Milwaukee and LA. Got Sun Cruiser koozies, got the hats, got t-shirts for Sun Cruiser, all the fan merchandise you want. Got the pop sockets for your phones, got the bucket hats, the t-shirts, the relief pitcher t-shirts, very cool. Highly recommend having one of them. Come out and hang out with us out here. See Sparky Fifer with you, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I remind you, I am at the Potawatomi Sportsbook coming up Monday night. That's right, Monday Night Football going on. I'll be out there from 6 up until halftime, so like 8:30, something like that. We'll be out there hanging out, doing that. We'll have trivia going on. We'll have autograph stuff to give away, jerseys to give away. All kinds of fan merchandise to give away as well. So looking forward to seeing y'all at the Potawatomi Sports 2,000 square foot center screen, unbelievable food and drinks and beverages, 48 beers on tap, a dozen different specialty cocktails at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. So we'll see you there coming up on Monday night. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from Left's Lucky Town in Tosa. This is where you want to come hang out for sure. $5 Sun Cruiser vodka iced teas until first pitch tonight. Have our shuttles going to and from all Brewers games, home games that is, for the remainder of the season. So you come hang out with us out here. Again, Left's Lucky Town across from Hart Park in Tosa. As I stated earlier in the show, I'm a firm believer that pretty much if you've lived within, 40, 45 minutes of this place, you've been here at some point in your life if you're of a legal drinking age. And sometimes, even if you're not, maybe your parents brought you here at some point. It's just one of those legendary spots that everybody goes to at some point. So come hang out with us at Lefts. We'd love to see Odd here. We got fan merchandise to give away, Sun Cruiser merchandise to give away as well. Let's talk about my fine friends over there at Prize Picks. If you downloaded the Prize Picks app today, it is free. It costs you nothing. And all it is daily fantasy, right? So all you're doing is going more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get your picks right, you could cash in. Plus, they have the flex play, which means even if you get a pick wrong, you could still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And going on right now, they have their max discount players too. What does that mean? That means crazy stuff, right? So it could be a player, let's say a wide receiver or something, a really good wide receiver, more than a half a receiving yard. Come on, man, right? Quarterback, more than a half a passing yard. Come on, right? You're going to do that. I mean, unless something crazy happens, like, your quarterback like busts his ACL on a handoff on the first play of the game, everybody's winning on that max discount one. So take advantage of their max discount plays and look on it day to day on your Prize Picks app to take advantage of that. Now, I have a very cool promotion going on right now for you. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. What does that mean? Let me help you out. You put $5 into the Prize Picks app. They're going to give you $50 in funds. If each one of your lineups that you play going forward is $5, that means you will get to play 11 different lineups on Prize Picks for $5. Seems pretty much like a no-brainer, right? Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. And my guy Tommy Wirtz joins us now as he gets ready for the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook coming up from 5 until 6:30. Tommy, what do we got coming up?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. We got Pat Murphy pre and post game. What a the Blake Perkins game. Is that going to be remembered in this season? Because that was yesterday too. Where did that come from, Spark?
He was pretty emotional after the game too, talking about being a role model for kids and for people that come to games. I wish that everybody had the Blake Perkins mentality, the Allen Iverson mentality, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. When you listen to the great ones talk, Blake Perkins is not a great one, but I love the attitude, the mentality of being a great one, right? Which is, yeah, I may play 162 games. Yeah, I might be tired. I might be dead dog tired. I may be dealing with an injury or whatever. But I know that there are kids coming to this game that are looking at me like, man, I wish I could do what he does. And you want to do your best. You want to, kind of put on a show and give them kind of what they came from. So maybe somebody wants to buy a Blake Perkins jersey because now you're his new favorite player. And there are players in all sports that don't give it all the time. They don't, right? There are some that give it all every time. Think of Giannis, right? I would say, 98% of the time, you see him going full bore most of the time.
Sure.
There is no off switch with Giannis. That's what makes him great. Now, you may not have the talent to be great like Giannis, but if you play hard all the time with the understanding of everybody's watching you, you may be influencing some little kid's decision on what he wants to do in life or whether or not he wants to join this youth league or whatever the case may be. That is how I wish every player thought. And Blake Perkins is one of those guys, and I was very happy to hear that last night.
Well, and even you can just take a lot of that way past sports, right? I mean, just developing that mindset in life, right? I mean, why do anything if you're not going to do it 100%, right? I mean,
Tommy, come on, man. I mean, you deal with customer service, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is not the attitude of a lot of people in life. I promise you.
Completely understand. And that's why I also think it's very important to enjoy your career, because if it's going to be something that you do for a long time, a 30-year life, right? If you're working 8 hours a day, most people like enjoy that. You should. And I think that you should also be in that pursuit of always trying to find that within your employment. That's part of why I am in this industry and how I've moved around all over the place. And I think that Blake Perkins giving that message as a pro ball player is no different as why you shouldn't give 100% at a job that you enjoy.
Absolutely. I mean, you were in Wilmer, Minnesota.
Yeah.
In the middle of freaking nowhere.
Nowhere.
And you fell in love. You fell in love with Wilmer, Minnesota and that organization and still have friends there.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people probably would have went there and said, get me the heck out of here as soon as possible. I'm out. And you're like going back for a vacation in a flood.
I remember the first day with the mindset of going to Wilmer, Minnesota. It was like, where is this going to like take me next? And then by the end of it.
Oh, hold on. We're talking, and people may not know what we're talking about. You went to Wilmer, Minnesota, not for a radio job, but to go essentially with help with a college team, right?
It was a summer team.
league.
Yeah, right. So it's Kenosha Kingfish, Lakeshore Chinooks, like all adjacent to them. And it was, I was in my sports play-by-play broadcasting days there trying to just make it to the next place. And where is the next team? I in my head, I was already thinking like of the next place. And then I finally was just like, all right, well, let's just enjoy this journey a little bit. And by the end of it, it was, how can I come back next year? And I don't care if it's not on the broadcast side. Like, I want to be in Wilmer. You leave a little unfinished at that first stint.
Sure.
And then I went there the next time, and sure enough, I put everything I had into it, and that was all I was going to get out of it again. And that's why we moved on into this next place. And suddenly it's a year later here. Like, that's just what happens, right? Like you're in the exact same boat where it's just like, I don't even know if I did enough this year. Like, next year we got to do even more.
It's crazy. You're talking to me about it, man. I've been here 20 years, so I know how much time flies. It was
Sparky.
How old are you?
25.
25. So I started here. Don't do math on the radio, Sparky. You're an idiot. 29 when I started here at this radio station. And I'm still here all these years later. And very, very fortunate, very, very blessed. Got a brand new lineup starting on Monday, obviously, from 6 to 9 a.m. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht from 6 to 9. Then 9 to noon with John Kuhn. That's right, John Kuhn back on the radio here on The Fan from 9 to noon with Rami Makloff, longtime fan radio host. Brandon Snide producing that show, longtime radio producer. That's going to be a great show. Then this dude right here, Tommy Wirtz, with Mitch Thunder Nellis and the star Mason Crosby, the foundation of the station. They're on from noon until 2 every day. And then we are the boring ones. We don't move. We say the same 2 until 5 every day.
I couldn't believe you said that yesterday, that your show is the boring show. Like,
I mean, look at all the excitement and the electricity attached to everybody. Me and Charlie are just here to pick up the scraps at the end of the day and try and cross the finish line. That's all we're trying to do, man.
I could probably think of 500 adjectives before I get to boring when I think of you, Sparky. Like, I mean, it's got to be like, whether they're positive or negative from there.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
there's no way boring comes into my brain. Not even close.
Just say. Tommy Wirtz, he's coming up next. I'll hang out with him as well. I'm out here. Come see us hang out. We have fan bucket hats. We have fan stress balls. We have fan t-shirts, fan bags to get. Sun Cruiser vodka, iced tea, $5, baby, till game time. 100 calories, no bubbles, just tasty, tasty, tasty. Come hang out with us out here. They're very tasty.
Very
Sun
good.
Cruiser koozies, hats, shirts for them too. We'll be out here till 6:30. Would love to see you. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Toodles.